welcome to episode 176 of the Collector's Quest podcast. In this episode, we're talking about finding value in what the market doesn't value. And not in like a specific recommendation type of way, like, oh my god, guys, no one's collecting N-Gage, everybody go collect N-Gage, it's undervalued. We're more talking about thinking in a way where you can find things that are interesting to collect that aren't super valuable, because it's not a factory-sealed NES Mario game, or something that has a billion eyes on it in the market right now. Because, you know, game collecting seems expensive right now. There's a lot of headlines, a lot of stuff has gone up in price, but there are so many interesting games that are either worthless or incredibly cheap compared to the really popular stuff to collect. So tell your mom about the show, give us 5 stars on iTunes, and let's go.
Can I tell you right now, because I bagging and boarding isn't, but like the taping down,
Yeah.
like my thing used to be like, after I read it, then I would tape it down, right?
And you'd keep it open until then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like it just became, I never had time to read any comics. And then if I did, I was reading them on my phone and just buying the physical artifacts, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is I just have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comics, thousands even, that are just all open in their bags and boards. And I've been going through taping them down, and my right thumb is raw right now.
Yeah, like, God.
It is so inflamed and swollen
because they're sharp.
Well, like just from pulling the tape and the tape constantly pulling layers of skin off, like slowly, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, my whole thumb, like, Carly's like, you can't do this tonight. She's like, your thumb is so swollen. She's like, you need to, remember when we're like, who needs that tape thing? And we did that episode where we got rid of all that garbage. Yeah, I could have used a tape dispenser. So I wasn't holding my tape. I could have just set it somewhere.
Oh, man.
Bless you. Also, I've started using painter's tape to close my comics.
Is that a thing? I feel like comic people would have had this figured out by now, Johnny.
Yeah, they do. They say painter's tape.
Ooh.
That way you don't get the tape pull on the back of your bags and boards.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Fuck. How is there not a better thing than like an adhesive bag? I hate it. I hate it so much,
Dude.
Johnny.
Well, and then like there's all these like fake ones like, oh, here's these extra thick Mylars. And like, I'm just like this.
I don't want extra. I want extra thin. I want to fit more into a goddamn short box.
Well, that's the other thing. I've been going through short boxes, like trying to find like the right short boxes. Like I bought a plastic one for comparison. I bought this like one that's like a canvas material.
Wow,
that
you're
like,
some kind of fancy motherfucker over here, Johnny. Not just getting like BCW.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at those too, like, because obviously I have plenty of those, but I want to see like, hey, you know, can I do better than these ones? Like, is there better? Especially because I think long term, like, you know, like if water or something shoots out of something or someone, you know, whatever happens, you know, what's the best way to keep that? And like cardboard is the worst thing because it'll protect it initially, but then after all the water sits in the cardboard, then the cardboard all gets moist and then just starts feeding in water, you know? I want to avoid that.
I think exactly the same thing. And like you look at everyone in the comic industry and they're all just using cardboard boxes. So they're like, it feels like, oh, what if just an ocean of water came and ruined everything? But
and they're just like,
everyone's just like, YOLO, we're just going to put cardboard boxes because what are we going to do? Buy a $20 box every time we get 100 more comics? Because guess what? We're comic people. We have 100 comics every day.
Yeah, well, so yes, that's like pretty much where I got down to is like, I'm like, it would cost me $1,000 to get enough. Well, maybe not quite $1,000, but it would cost me a pretty penny to get there, like maybe $800 to get all plastic boxes. And then I was like, and then they don't fit on the shelves quite right. So that was annoying. I was like, are you kidding me?
Just to store a bunch of comics you don't even need, Johnny, because fuck comics.
Yeah, I know that. Oh man, you don't know. Like this is Eric was like, what the fuck do you have all these comics for? Because he came by. But the bigger issue I have is like I read lots of weird comics, like when I was 19 and 20 and like up to like 25, I would read whatever came out, like whatever weird shit was out there. Like, oh, I'll read that. So I just like have so many bad and stupid like Image comics, just like why?
The stuff that Eric would look at and be like, why do you own this? What is wrong with you?
Why didn't you buy a Spider-Man? What are you doing?
Exactly.
And then he's like, and then why didn't you buy a Spider-Man from 1960?
Because modern stuff is worthless, Johnny. I mean, some of it, you would not believe the price, like for like the mint stuff, obviously. But I mean, this stuff's common. Johnny, hey, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny and Stefan.
Nope, that's not true.
Oh, give me shit about it today, Stefan.
Yeah, take that.
We're here talking about how we don't collect comics, but still have a bunch of comics that we have to deal with because we didn't intentionally collect a bunch of comics. We just have a bunch of worthless comics that we have read at some point in our lives and have been trucking them around for our entire adult lives. Is that correct, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, are you going to put that in the show or just throw it in the afternoon?
I'm just going to, that's how we're coming into the show.
Oh,
we're talking about $800 on some plastic comic book boxes, Johnny. Boy, that would be that's something that most people don't value enough when they're considering their comic collection.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go back to the same advice. If anyone has a pile of comics, and we're not going to talk about comics the whole show, but if same way we talk about games. If you have spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on comics, and it's like your hobby, do yourself a favor and buy nicer boxes. Stop like slugging around these like shitty cardboard ones. If you keep them in your house, no one wants to see those white boxes. Get something nice. I saw this guy. He's got like a beautiful setup. Just like if you're spending $50,000 on comics and then putting them in like, if you've got $50,000 of comics in $20 worth of cardboard, you're doing it wrong.
So, okay, I agree, but I mean, I have $0 worth of comics because we've talked about this. I did the same thing you did. If I wanted to read Identity Crisis, which is a DC event, there's 7 books in Identity Crisis.
By Brad Metzler, and go ahead.
Yes, Johnny, thank you for the context. So it's a 7-book thing, but you go and you look up like the comic book reading order, because while these Identity Crisis books are coming out, there's mentions of Identity Crisis and there's things happening in fucking Teen Titans
event.
And Manhunter. So you look at like, what do I need to read to really understand Identity Crisis? And it's like 25 books. And this is just for this one 7-book series. And so every storyline that I want to read, I would just go to comiccollectorlive.com is where I'd buy all my comics. And I would buy like 75 books because there's some huge storyline that I want to read, and I just buy everything. And most of them have like a 2-panel like cameo related to the storyline I care about. But I'll buy all these worthless comics, and I'd never sell them. And I just have boxes and boxes of all these fucking worthless comics, Johnny. And this is why I could never collect comics, because that is how I read comics. So, and I'd like to own the stuff I read, and now I'm just like all digital because it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
it's too heavy. It takes up too much room, and it's all worthless.
It's the worst. But also, the worst part about that is like people say, "Oh, well, just wait and buy the trade or whatever." One, I hate trades. I like nice hardcovers, but like trades, I just am not about. But then they don't put all the ancillary books in it, so you just
so much.
Just
what's
fuck,
the
man.
point of collecting everything if you don't collect everything? It drives me up the wall, especially like the digital versions. Like, just give me the 2 panels from the book if that's all that matters, but just give it all to me. I'll pay more. Put out a 500-page Identity Crisis trade paperback. When I want to read Identity Crisis, I'm reading the fucking whole thing.
Yes, and like, put it in the proper reading order, too. Just bind it all in the way I'm supposed to be reading it.
Yep.
So, I'm glad you're with me on that, because I find that super annoying. Hey there, peoples, fix it. It's bad. It's terrible. Fucking stop it. You're killing my OCD. And I think I said Metzler. It's Meltzer, right? That's Brad Meltzer, and I think it's
Dave Meltzer.
No, it's Brad. It's definitely Brad.
What? Okay, you're not talking about
illustrated
wrestling?
By Michael Turner. At least the covers, right?
Oh, you're still talking about comics? I thought you were like making a Dave Meltzer reference.
No.
Okay. CM Punk debuted on AEW. Holy shit, though. You see that?
No, I don't watch wrestling.
Well, I didn't, but then I saw he was going to debut, and I watched a legal stream of TNT to watch it happen. And it was pretty
I can't
cool,
wait for the wrestling episode too. You know, someone in a recent post mentioned that the wrestling episode was their favorite episode.
Dude, shout out to you for getting anything out of that. I don't remember that episode at all. I just remember how much we make fun of it.
Yeah, well, you gave the tip on the N64, -1, so.
The No Mercy USA-1 variant, which, like, by now, it's like one of the most popular rare N64 variants. It is very expensive now. It is no longer a thing, I think. You just refresh your saved search every day and hope to find one. I'm guessing.
Yeah, but back when you mentioned it, it was still like a deal. So you helped someone out.
And it's not like I discovered it. There was a web page that explained exactly what it is and exactly how some got distributed from overstock from like a guy who used to work at Activision. I forgot what the story was, but a bunch of them got distributed new in box, basically.
Yeah. So I know everyone's listening thinking, WTF with the comics and this, right? Like, where are you going with this? It's like, I know you guys ramble, but this is a key tie-in. Let me tell you, that's a pun. That's if you guys are paying.
Wow. I think the readers really value this. The listeners really value this, Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to talk about finding value in a market that, finding the value in things that the market doesn't currently value. If games are going the way of comics, which a lot of the way they are, comics has already got this dialed. There's plenty of apps and stuff out there to look at. It's upsetting, like, because we hate Go Collect so much, right? But if you go to the Go Collect comic site, it's really good. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I mean, Go Collect is where I generally look up like comic prices and things because everything in comics is graded. So,
yeah, but it's crazy to me how dialed in comics are, and then like there's so many comics. There's just so many released every week. That's just truckloads of paper hitting the streets every Wednesday.
It's crazy,
and they like beautiful sites, how things tie together, what your keys are, how things tie together, what you should be buying. And video games has none of that. So what comics does for itself is it basically generates value. It says, okay, well, if you're looking at these things, like, oh, this guy drew this book, and he also drew this famous book. So, now this book, even though it's a nothing book, is kind of important and you should maybe think about collecting it. And that's kind of some of the angles we're going to take. Not specifically that, but comics is a nice tie-in to what we're going to talk about today. Do you have more to add to that, Tyler?
No, just that, I mean, if you go to Go Collect, and I don't know if Go Collect's the best place to look at it. It might be Key Collector. That is the best place to look at it.
KeyCollectorComics.com. Put in comic code Tom101 for a free 2 weeks. What up, game fam?
You bring up any random comic on Go Collect, and it will give you some reason to care about it. And I know Hulk 182 is not the most weird comic in the world, but it says cameo appearance of Wolverine, first appearance of Crackerjack Johnson, death of Crackerjack Johnson. Fucking like first appearance of Crackerjack Johnson, death of Crackerjack Johnson. Is this a guy who appeared in one comic? It's like a key, both because it's his first appearance and his death. But they find a way to make anything valuable, and
they break it down. Like, I mean, we're in the graded world, right? So like, there's where things are just getting graded. It's way more reasonable to grade comics, by the way, price wise and time frame wise. But if you go in and you look at all the grades, like the tiers, it's like you can expect that it's worth this much here. This is how many have sold. Like, it's just the level of information is insane.
It's true. And so we're talking about like bullshit. Like no one actually values the death of Crackerjack Johnson as a reason to like a comic. But we are going to talk about what the market doesn't value and things you could think about if you're basically trying to collect on a budget or trying to collect the best things that maybe, aren't black box NES games and high grade sealed WATA graded games, which are obviously things that are very expensive right now. I don't even know what else is expensive. I see PS2 games selling for $1,000. Like, what's that From Software PS2 games like Shadow Tower? Am I wrong? You know what? I bet game value now is wrong, and I'm right, and it is Shadow Tower. Let me look it up.
Oh, you think game value now might be wrong?
No, you can get it for I swear this was like this is Super Nintendo. I watched a video of his that were like, what are the best PS2 games? Yeah, I know it's a guy with a face that you're gonna hate, but
stop with the YouTube face. Let's just a public announcement. Fucking stop it. Like. You look like this is bad. You make a face and you look like a baby who doesn't like vegetables. Just knock that shit off. Like, oh man, have we really gotten to the world where like I need to like see someone's face and be like, oh yeah, here we go. That feeds into my confirmation bias. I'll definitely watch this video now. I wanted to hate that. Or yeah, I wanted to like it and he's got a happy face. I'll watch that. It's so stupid. Just... Oh man, YouTube face is so dumb on so many levels.
Johnny, the game I'm thinking about does not exist. I have made something up. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of Shadow Tower, and I made up in my mind that it's like a $900 game, and it is
it's
not
expensive.
I'm just thinking of Shadow Tower, which is $200. What am I talking about, Johnny? People are finding value in that because of the publisher From Software. Because spoiler alert, no one gives a fuck about Shadow Tower. I'm going to tie this right into the episode, but they are collecting.
They do care about Kingsfield?
I think people care about more about Kingsfield than Shadow Tower.
Absolutely.
Wait, what'd you say? Absolutely not?
Absolutely they do.
Oh, yeah. But people are collecting the From Software developed game set, which has pushed Shadow Tower way up because it's an uncommon game, even though, really no one cares about Shadow Tower. But it looks like a lot of other From Software games. Obviously, they make a certain kind of simple, gothic, dark, probably very hard, horror-ish game.
Yeah, like, while you're at it, don't forget your Age Tech games while you're there.
Johnny, give us some examples of some Agitech games.
There's lots. They did, like, I think they did Wild Arms on the PS2, but they also did, like, The Adventures of Cookie and Cream. And like Fisherman's Bass, like they're all over the place. Like they have games that are super expensive, and then all of a sudden,
Well, so they're a publisher, and they've published like a bunch of From Software games, Cookie and Cream.
But they also did Kuon, and they did like Clock Tower, and just so you know, they also did Shadow Tower.
Yeah, and is Kuon a From Software game?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
It is. Okay. Yeah. Just get all them from Software. I'm going to look up Cookie and Cream right now. I was going to say it's going to be $100. Cookie and Cream.
No, it's like $18.
Black Label is $10, $20. Yeah. I'm going to buy Cookie and Cream at the end of this episode, Johnny.
Yeah. Don't forget Kingsfield, the Ancient City on PS2. There's all the Armatech games. They made so many games. They've got like a lot of bizarre ones. They've got like, just like on the PS1, they've got a bunch of junk games. But they also have things like Echo Knight. So, and then, Echo Knight Beyond on the PS2. So it's just, they're all over.
I think some people care about those, but also I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about playing an Echo Knight game. I've heard maybe one person on YouTube talk about playing one of the Echo Knight games, but it's the sole series I think that people are collecting From Software games for.
No.
Stop it, Johnny. Anyway,
okay, I'll stop.
You don't have to stop it.
Okay.
It's Metal Wolf Chaos, guys. It's really the best Xbox game. I'm not lying.
Are you sure?
Johnny, we're going to talk about some categories of things that you might look at collecting, and like this isn't everything, just like some ideas of some things that you can collect.
Yeah, so some ways to maybe look at games. Like this is just an alternate lens to look at stuff for when you're collecting, because everything feels so dumb and expensive and like all hope is lost, and it's not. Things have gotten like crazy expensive in a lot of areas, but a lot of stuff is still fine, and you can find still value by just kind of shifting your perspective a little. Tower's going to help you with it right now.
So you say that, but it hasn't always been focused. That lens hasn't been focused on what it's focused on right now, because now people say like, oh, it's a key Mario game. And you're just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's every
but
Mario.
Like 5 years ago, you say that shit and you'd just be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's not rare, so who cares? Because that lens of what the market cared about was 100% rarity 5 years ago.
Well, not 100% rarity, but mostly rarity.
Like, mostly, I know there's, oh man, you can get
Tell me
into everything that the market actually cares about and why Sachin doesn't matter for some reason and all that. Yes, I know. But so going into what we just started talking about, I'm going to say creator ludographies, which is a made up word that I've literally only ever read on a single Wikipedia page. But if you define ludography on Google, you get some dictionary page that says like the body of work of games that someone has created. And the only place I've ever seen it is there's a page on Wikipedia for Shigeru Miyamoto's ludography. So it's like a discography for games.
Okay.
And so people collect publisher sets. I see a lot less people collecting individual game creator sets. And if there was one, like Hideo Kojima and Shigeru Miyamoto might be popular people to collect, but like you get down into the nitty gritty of like composers and things like that. I've never seen someone post on like social media, check out my composer set of what's the Jesper Kid. I've never seen anyone post a Jesper Kid set with everything from Subterranea up through the Assassin's Creed games through whatever he did after that. Because I don't know, Jesper Kid's a cool guy. Johnny, have you ever thought about collecting something like this? A ludography? Don't call it a ludography. Just call it all the games from a certain video game person.
Yes.
Who have you done that for? I mean, you have all these sets, so you probably have a lot of it built in, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I'll go look. But, you know, like Miyamoto, I've looked at his and like, maybe I should complete this. Shout out to you, Devil World. You know, I haven't done it yet. I'm not saying I have, but, yeah, I've looked at it. I've looked at that, you know, and said, okay, maybe this, or, you know, maybe not. Like, you know, games are hard because, especially if they've been in the business for a long time, like they probably worked on some really shitty games.
That's the thing. Miyamoto, I think, is easy because his really early work, I think his first game was Sheriff. It's an arcade game, and it's like, all right, you don't really have to count that because it's an arcade game. You can't really own it. Like, what does his actually start with? Is Donkey Kong? But yeah. Again, it's like home ports. Whatever. You'll figure out how to collect Miyamoto games how you want. But another example would be John Carmack. You think of John Carmack, you think, oh, you know, Doom, Commander Keen. He has like a dozen games before Commander Keen and you won't find any of them. So if you're trying to like beat the market, not really beat the market, but just buy something that wouldn't be prohibitively expensive, collecting John Carmack games would be incredibly prohibitively expensive just because of how rare his super early stuff is. So you probably have to pick someone that started with a bang, or it could be fun to find something that no one cares about. The first Hideo Kojima game, I believe, is Antarctic Adventure on the MSX, which it's not really, this is a bad example because it is an expensive game. It's like a couple $100, I think. But there would be games like that for lesser known people that are a little bit rare that no one puts any value on except for the fact that it was the first game by this person. And I've literally never heard anyone like say, oh, check this out. This is the first game by this person. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like, imagine that lots of people collect like this, like, oh, I'm going to buy all the, you know, shmups for this system. Like, that's a thing normal people do. Now, you're just kind of taking that and flipping it over and adjusting the focus to, you know, maybe to the creator side. And a lot of those guys, like, I know a lot of the shmup guys, like, they follow the same makers. I don't know if they go for their whole library because people work on so many different things, but you know, some people get bound into a genre and you know, that's all they work on. Yeah.
And, I think like someone like Cliffy B, I'm bringing this up just because it came up on Collector's Quest.
Budzinski.
I think Cliffy B's, like all his credits would be
fun to collect.
Came up on
Collector's Quest? We are Collector's Quest.
Yeah.
We brought up Cliffy B already?
So we brought up Cliffy B's first game. I don't remember how this came up. We brought up Cliffy B's first game, The Palace of Deceit. Is that it? Someone fact check me on that, but actually don't. He made it when he was like a teenager, or worked on it at least. And like, you can get Jazz Jackrabbit, which I mean, Jazz Jackrabbit's expensive, but you can get them. You can get all the Unreal games. You can get all the Gears of War games. But when you get to The Palace of Deceit, you're probably going to spend a few $100s on that, but that would be the one like capstone to your set. And once you have that, it's like it's not going to be a problem to get the rest of the Cliffy B games. So I think that would be a very fun set to collect, as it only really has one roadblock that is somewhat feasible.
It is Palaces of Deceit. And the other thing that's a little bit different about video games is because, like, for comic books, it comes out pretty much in one medium. I guess maybe you decide if you buy the trade and the hardcover or some variant covers. But with, like, say, Jazz Jackrabbit, right? Like, which version are you talking about? Because there's also... Well, there's like the GBA and there's computer ones. Like what?
You're not buying the GBA version if you're getting all.
So you're buying
Cliffy
the
B
MS
games.
DOS version.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like if you're buying his whole library, like where does that end?
I mean,
like do you go?
You're the
pick up
one
that too?
creating the limits for yourself, Johnny.
That's true.
If you're getting all the comic book people guy, all the. I'd have to think of a lesser guy who doesn't have like hundreds of comics to his name, but like, do you get all the one of 25 cover variants? Is that necessary for the set? I would say no. I would just get my favorite one of each and then maybe work on it from there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cover artists that I like. My Halloween
cover art. Like if Stefan was here, he'd be like, oh yeah, I collect all of the whatever cover artists for NES games. I'm sure he knows all the cover artists. I have no idea who NES cover artists are. I know you're talking about comics, but.
Yeah, but like, there's people. I mean, people definitely do follow cover artists and then buy all of their work, especially if they're really good.
For video games? I mean, the video game people buy literally all their artwork, but
yeah, no, we can't talk about the video game art people. Those people are insane. I
agree. Stefan, you have any comment on that?
Nope, he agrees. He agrees. Yeah. Anyways, the reason I bring up the GBA one is because that's like kind of an expensive game on the GBA. And yes, you are correct. It is Palace of Deceit as his first game. Back in 1991. And then it's Dare to Dream, and then Jazz Jackrabbit, and then Jazz Jackrabbit 2. But yeah, that Jazz Jackrabbit game is on the GBA. So like, which version are you getting? You have to make those choices. But that's the beauty of it.
I bet Cliffy B had nothing to do with the GBA version, but I could be wrong. That guy was a superstar. Oh, well, no, that was before... I don't know. Was he a superstar? How cool was Unreal Tournament? In my life, Unreal Tournament was a pretty big deal, but maybe it was just another game on the road to making a career for him.
Yeah, so it was rebooted on the GBA in 2002, and these were back in like 94.
I mean, I'm sure he has some kind of credit. So that's another thing. Like if he's just a producer or a special thanks on that, like would you count that? I don't know. Because Miyamoto has all these games where he's like a producer on, and they're not like, I don't know if I would call it a Miyamoto game if it's just something that he produced but someone else directed. So I would personally be going for all the games that Miyamoto directed.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to kind of create that focus too. But yeah, I don't think I would, like, if I was doing it, I don't think you would have to lump in the GBA one. And I think you're right. Like removing director or like only things that he had a definite hand in. Being a director is a big deal. Being a producer could be, people get slapped with producer credits for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, Stefan, executive producer at 2K Games. You got any comment on that?
Oh, he agrees again.
All right.
That's very weird. I'm channeling Stefan. He said something insulting to you. Don't worry about it. It's fine. He's over it. Yeah, but he agrees mostly.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
He doesn't agree. He argues with you until you both realize that you agree, and then that's how it goes.
I've got a special update here.
Okay.
I was going to say a great example of a game that clearly got a bump because of just the credits of who worked on the game is Mole Mania recently is on fire. It's like at least $50, I think, for a cartridge of Mole Mania.
The Game Boy game? Mole Mania?
There's one ending in 6 hours. It's already at $45 shipped, and it's got writing on the cartridge.
Classically cheap Game Boy game, even in box.
To complete in box copies are fucking gone, Johnny. They are gone.
Okay, so what happened that made Mole Mania?
I have someone figured out that it's a first-party Nintendo game, and it's pretty cool. And it's not just like a stupid mini game that it sounds like. It sounds like a stupid game, but it's like a cool puzzle game. And someone figured it out. It looks like they're all gone.
Oh my god, Jesus goodness, the PAL copies are over $200.
Let's go
What
find
is
the last
happening?
complete in box Mole Mania that's sold. Oh my, people are like buying the Japanese versions. Oh my god, the last 4 that sold complete in box on eBay were Japanese. There's a Wada one. There's 2 more Japanese ones. So we're up to 6 Japanese before I've seen a US copy.
The US copy I'm seeing is graded. And it had that ugly new release sticker on it.
A Mole Mania has not sold on eBay for 2 months, Johnny. And I think that's before it went for $122. And that's before like all this craziness started.
One sold on August 11th and it was Wada graded and sealed for $1,300.
I mean, honestly, with the way these prices are going, $1,300 for a sealed one doesn't seem bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a deal at this point.
I was going to say that's a relatively unknown directed by Shigeru Miyamoto game, but it's not. He's a producer on that. So I don't know. Maybe collect producer credits. What do I know? Do whatever you want. The whole point of this episode is do whatever you want.
But here, so if we were following the world of like, say, what comics does, the minute people, like if this was a new game coming out and they found out like Miyamoto was attached to it, even as a producer, they would start speccing on it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, literally the only reason I bought what's the Audacity Games game? Oh my god, I can't even remember the name of the game. Circus Convoy, which is the David Crane game. He made a new game company. They're putting out new Atari games. Like there's so much Atari homebrew that comes out, but like fucking a new game by David Crane, that's what makes it awesome.
Man, I guess I'm glad I own my copy of Mole Mania. That's my takeaway from this segment. Jesus, Mole Mania? Mole Mania, guys?
Johnny, like literally your reaction right now, Jesus, Mole Mania. Talk about a game I have put on the back burner forever. In the back of my mind, I'm always like, Mole Mania is a cool game. I will be able to pick that up literally whenever. Because when is the world going to care about Mole Mania? The answer is August 2021, guys. The Mole Mania train is leaving the station. And like now that there's been some kind of hype on it, it'll never be cheap again. It's just especially for a Game Boy game complete box, there's just not enough of those.
But I mean, there's like people are asking $85 for this right now. What is happening? I can't believe this one's got bids on it for $41. This is a game you find in and it's got writing on the side. It's like a gross copy. Oh my god, there's people asking over $100 for a loose cart.
Mole Mania.
What is happening? Yes. Okay. So this episode is more relevant than you ever thought. Look for all the dumb ways things can be tied together, especially when all these people are coming from comic books, right? People who are going to drive the market in weird ways, whether we want them to or not. Look at how it's done. Look at the things that they tie together. Look at all their logic strings and be following those, and start applying them to games because. Holy God, if Mole Mania can reach $100 cart only, the sky's the limit for everything else.
Hey, Johnny.
Mole Mania.
I'm going to tie this into our next example category of how to find value in something the market doesn't care about is make up some dumbass criteria that makes something a first appearance, Johnny. Kirby's Adventure, absolutely. It's the first appearance of Pink Kirby, his classic color. This is more of a way to basically sell your games that don't have something as important. But if you look at almost any game, there's something, you could come up with something that is the first something. Like Mario 2 is the first time Luigi has his flutter jump or something. You can come up with all sorts of first appearances for any number.
It's the first instance of a Super Mario Land title.
Wait, what?
On the Game Boy. Like
Super Mario Land is the first Super Mario Land?
Well, that's what they would say. It's the first iteration of Land because there are now more Mario Lands outside of just the GBA games or the GB games.
But that's a series. That's like saying that
I
Super
know,
Mario
but that's if we're looking at how comics would tell you, if you're saying a way to make it like this is, obviously Batman #1. That's not true because Batman #1 isn't the first appearance of Batman, but whatever new character, Miss Marvel 1 or whatever, you're like, first appearance. It would say in like the key element of it, like first appearance of that character, even though it's the title named or the series named for that character.
Okay, let's come up. Let's pick Johnny. Pick a game. We're gonna come up with some criteria on the fly of why it's worth collecting.
Okay. Do you want me to go Nintendo or Sega or PlayStation?
Let's go Sega because no one cares about Sega games, so we're gonna have to find a reason for someone to care about this.
So probably not Musha.
Great example, Johnny.
Yeah. Probably not that one. Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll. Jurassic Park. That's not like really a good one.
Is it not a good one? I mean, Jurassic Park's what, $5? I'm going to say $20 in the modern era. For
well, I mean, I think all the things have already happened with Jurassic Park. Like, new television tie-ins, reports of new movies. It's the first iteration of.
Doug Tenapel did the art for Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis. I bet you didn't know that. Someone knew that, but you know what? There's no value in the game because people actually know that.
That's true. I'm trying to think, like, what else would you say about Jurassic? Like, I would be hyping it based on the new stuff that's happening in Jurassic Park. Like, go buy this oldie but goodie while it's cheap. Like, this is a $10 game. Get it now before the next movie takes off, or they start thinking about remaking the original series, because Jurassic Park is a series that will get remade or something at some point. People are going to keep revisiting this idea forever. Like, if you don't understand, like, one of the key differences in the Jurassic Park, that the difference between, say, the book and the movie Jurassic Park, one of the fundamental changes was putting more focus on the kids, because Steven Spielberg realized that kids love dinosaurs. It wasn't just a throwaway conceit like it was in the book to make things even more difficult to like feed into Ian Malcolm's chaos theory events. It was like Steven Spielberg said, oh yeah, kids love dinosaurs. Let's put, if you make kids more of the star, you can put more elements of the show from the kids' eyes, and now kids will be more tied into it, and they already love dinosaurs. So because that's true, they're going to keep making Jurassic Park movies because they always make money. And the Jurassic Park movies that did worse were Jurassic Park movies where they took the attention away from the children. So buy these games, as now Jurassic Park realizes that the attention should be at the level of children, because they are the ones who are going to drive this franchise forever. And now all the people who watch Jurassic Park are old enough to really be investing in it. And it's got Lego sets now and everything. So yeah, now's the time. Buy Jurassic Park.
All right, I feel like you were looking at this more from my hype angle and less of a reason that the game is interesting to collect. But I mean,
yes,
if you are a person who buys into hype like that, then I guess you'd be correct.
I think a lot of people are.
Something that I would be more personally interested in. Jurassic Park is the first game to use Sega's internal rating system and get a general audience rating.
Yep, I was going to bring that up.
Perfect.
Next,
Perfect. Random first that I guarantee it adds no value to the game right now in the market, but it's an interesting
absolutely
thing.
Not. So
maybe less made up would be like actual first appearances, and I'm going to say however you define that, because let me think. Well, okay, like a perfect example would be like, obviously no one is going, not no one, but the way the market is valuing, especially sealed and high-end CIB games right now, in terms of first in series and first appearance, no one's going to the Japanese version and getting the real first appearance of Kirby. No one is buying new old stock Kirby's Dream Land for a Japanese Game Boy. I mean, someone is,
true,
but it's not like the hot thing to have on social media in a Wada case. Or Donkey Kong, another perfect example. I would say what's the most valuable Donkey Kong right now is probably the NES black box version. I think an NES black box version that's like really nice or sealed probably sells for more than a Donkey Kong cabinet.
It's probably the Red Cab arcade unit.
Okay, you might actually be right there, because I don't know what that's worth. I bet a sealed Donkey Kong in like really nice high grade would be worth more than even a red Donkey Kong, just because arcade. The people don't. I
just wanted to say that just to make you happy. I knew that would just.
I love you, Johnny. You know what you could do? You could buy a fucking Donkey Kong PCB and be like, "This is the first appearance of Mario," or you could buy a Donkey Kong Game and Watch and be like, "This is the first home appearance of Mario." Or you could buy the Atari and ColecoVision games and be like, "These are the first console appearances of Mario." There's like all these different ways to define first appearance, and usually there's so few people that are like just controlling the narratives of these markets that it's like you don't have to listen to what people say is the important game. You could just go get what you think is the important game. And we're probably like, we talk about stuff like we're one of the voices in the conversation of video game collecting. But there's plenty of others, and I think you should listen to none of them in determining what is the most important thing.
So, okay, back to Jurassic Park. We're talking about how to just to go back there. So we're talking about like ways to find and make it unique. So I would say avoid the Genesis version and actually buy the NES version. Although most of these, like, it's a late print Nintendo game. So it's got, I would call it like, part of the Red Bar series, on the Nintendo. That's got the red line on top. But also it came out on the NES first. Not because the NES was the earlier system. I mean, it's 1993 when these came out. So all of them, all like Game Boy, Genesis, Super Nintendo, all that's out. But it came out on the NES in June, as opposed for the Genesis and the Game Boy, where it came out in August. So
it's the first Jurassic Park video game?
Yeah.
And is that including computers?
No, I don't count computers. Those don't play games.
But is it? Do you know if it is?
I don't know if
we're gonna find out. The arcade game came after. That's good.
I mean, so like Super Nintendo is weirdly the latest one because that came out in October.
Okay. Oh, wait, computer video game, Johnny. Oh, here it is. It's for Amiga and DOS. And it came out in the UK in October 1993. How does that compare to NES?
That's after June 1993.
Ah, look at that. Everybody go get the NES Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park video game, which I'm sure is not something the market doesn't value right now because it's an NES game and NES is ridiculous right now. But that's a great example, Johnny, of stupid bullshit to look at and be like, oh, no one is talking about Jurassic Park being the first Jurassic Park video game. It even predates the Amiga game.
Yeah. I wonder, did it come out in Japan, I wonder?
On Famicom, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, according to Wikipedia, the authority on release dates, it does not appear to have.
So this would be a US exclusive first release in the US.
Johnny,
and the first one.
No one can bullshit you on this one. You can't be like, oh, the Famicom version came first. You get Jurassic Park on NES. You've got the thing, Johnny. And we are all about getting the thing.
Also, Jurassic Park should be more expensive as it came out in June 1993 on the Nintendo, well into the Super Nintendo existing.
Let's look at what a complete Jurassic Park costs. There's one for $90.
Probably a steal.
There's one for $85, one for $100, one for $180. And let's look at what's sold. Yeah, it's selling in the $70 to $100 range. Well, it's all over the place, obviously, because it's NES. It's like a $100 game. I mean, there's a lot of them, considering it is such a late release. I guess it's like Kirby's Adventure, where people were like, wow, Jurassic Park was cool. I want the Nintendo game.
Yeah, I mean, us came out.
Are you, John? You're like hyping me. Like, do I need a Jurassic Park? I don't even know if I have a Jurassic Park. I might already have this. And there's only one copy that has the poster, but the box isn't in nice condition. But do I want the one with the nicer box and no poster?
I don't know.
Actually,
I would probably buy the nicer box and then hope to find a poster.
Oh, later. You know what? They're all kind of shitty boxes, except for the fucking $180 one, which also doesn't have the poster. And I would not call this box in $180 condition. Which, I mean, that's obviously not surprising because a lot of people have been speculating on NES and just licensed properties that anyone knows. People are probably buying these to go with their sealed Jurassic Park VHSs right now.
Absolutely. It's bad. We're going to have to talk about VHSs right now. It's gross. Anyways, what more? Yeah. What else? What other criteria? So we did Kirby, and like that's a weird. We can make a first appearance of Pink Kirby. You could probably. There's probably like Smash Brothers probably does a lot of first things. So like you should buy Smash Brothers because there's probably a bunch of key elements
that
there.
I've even seen used to try to hype a game, and in my opinion, they were wrong. I've seen someone who shall not be named call Mario no Photopea on N64 the rarest Mario game. And I will say he has corrected his auction listings to say it's the rarest Mario N64 game, which sure, probably. I don't know. Maybe the rare disc drive games. I don't know. What's the rarest Mario game? Because you could define that in all sorts of different ways.
Red Cab Donkey Kong.
I mean, so that's an interesting one, because if we looked at raw production numbers, it wouldn't be. And it depends on what is a Mario game too. But if you include how many have gone to the dump, yes, it may be a Red Cabinet Donkey Kong. But there's like weird promos and stuff. Is Nintendo World Championships Gold its own Mario game, or is it just under Nintendo World Championships and it's a variant?
It's its own thing because it doesn't have the whole ROM on there, right?
What?
The championship one? Like, I thought it was a limited ROM. Like, it's not the same ROM on there.
What? You're telling me the gold and gray have different ROMs? That seems crazy to me, Johnny. In fact, seems almost impossible.
Not the difference between the gold and gray, just on the championship carts in general.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, it was still, is it a Mario game? It's got Mario in it. I think it is. I think it's a Mario game.
I would say it's the first appearance of Mario as a competition game.
Is that true? That's not even true.
I don't know.
Because in Japan, there was a Mario
Golf.
Golf, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's called, we messed this up before. We said that we came up with the first Mario sports game and we said it was Mario Tennis on Virtual Boy, but actually in Japan, NES Open Golf is called like Mario's Open Golf. So somehow we screwed that up. But yeah, it's not even the first competition Mario game. I'm just thinking, did I ever bring up that golf prize on this show yet?
We did.
I want to bring that up, Johnny. Yeah.
You want to say it again? I know this because we talked about it. This is the only reason I know.
So in Japan, there was a Famicom Disk System contest for the games Famicom Golf Japan course and Famicom Golf US course. You would like fax in your scores with like this weird disk system fax terminal that I guess were at retailers. And it's assumed that the top 10,000 scores were sent out these special gold discs of the game. So there's a gold Japan course disc and a gold US course disc. But those aren't like incredibly rare or anything. There's assumed to be 10,000 of them. They show up all the time. But at least for Japan course, the top 100 players were sent this wooden box that had a gold disc, but it had a special course on it. I believe it was called Championship Course. So it's a Nintendo game, a unique Nintendo game there are only 100 copies of. And you play as Mario in these games. It's a unique Mario game there are only 100 copies of. And this is so far outside, like, American collector conscious. You can't even find, like, pictures of this. There's at least one picture of this somewhere on the internet. Like, no one is collecting this and being like, this is the rarest Mario game. This extremely rare top 100 championship disc system gold disc. Finding weird, rare stuff like that. And, you know, Mario would be one that there's probably a lot of people trying to figure out what the rarest Mario shit is right now. But I don't know. The rarest Fire Emblem stuff is maybe a little more obscure.
So a good way to go about like looking at this lens that we're going down right now is ask yourself a question, find some amount of obscurity, and then find the answer, and then you can create collectability, and then you'll find value, because if you're thinking about it, one day someone else is going to think about it. That's, you know, as far as original thoughts go, especially on such a narrow topic, there aren't going to be that many. So right now, if I was sitting down and I was thinking about something I wanted to buy, I would say, what was the first comic character to get a video game? Like, what was the first game to have a comic book, or based off of a comic book character, or based off of a comic book? And I would go look for that. And then I would do the same thing with what was the first game based off of a book, and then a movie. And I would find those games and I'd be like, yeah, these are the big ones. Like, here's some cool ones. And then first of genres real easy. Like, what was the first, shmup, or what was the first, platformer? You could go down the line like that, asking yourself those kinds of questions, doing the research, finding, because what you'll find is there's a bunch of bullshit surface level answers. And then if you keep digging, you'll find the real good stuff that Tyler likes to collect. And then you can shout about it on Instagram and on this podcast.
Oh my God.
And be like, no, that's not the first print. What it really is, that's my impression of Tyler.
I love the bullshit, Johnny. I love the weird edge cases, and like when you're especially looking at genres, it's like, what is a platform game? So what, like a lot of like what you would look at Wikipedia, you'd go to the platform game, it would probably say Space Panic is the first platform game, which is a game that just has like platforms and ladders. You can't jump. And it's like, you start thinking about what's the definition of a platform game? Can it be a platform game if you can't jump? Is that part of a platform game? I would say yes. You need to be able to jump for it to be a platform game. But, maybe not. Maybe the Wikipedia editors know better than I do.
What's that computer game that was like predates Pong but is like Pong?
Computer Space? Oh, no. That predates Pong but is like Pong.
Yeah, it was like basically just you hit a ball back and forth to each other.
The Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah, well, I thought there was one like in
Tennis for Two.
The one that was like on the college campuses in the computer.
Space War?
Was it Space War?
Space War is like a one-on-one spaceship shooting game in a gravity well. I don't think we're talking.
Anyways, I'm going a long way to make a joke that Pong uses a platform.
Joke?
Yeah, just that Pong uses a platform to hit a ball. So is that a platform?
Oh my fucking god! You spent all that setup to make that joke. That was your joke.
It wasn't a good one. I'm not proud of it. I couldn't get the answer fast enough to make the joke flow. I did a bad job. You don't edit it out though. Let the people know that sometimes I fail.
Okay, perfect. My favorite thing about thinking about historical firsts, especially in things like genres, is everything comes back to the Magnavox Odyssey in like if you completely like break how you think about anything, it'll be like, oh yeah, this I guess is a video game that has some aspect of horror, like Haunted House on the Magnavox Odyssey. It's moving 2 dots around the screen, and it comes up if you search for the first survival horror game. It's like, there are elements to this genre that are not apparent on the Magnavox Odyssey. Or, my favorite, the first female protagonist in a video game. There's a Simon Says game where you put an overlay over your screen with a boy and a girl, and player 2 plays as the girl. First female protagonist in a video game.
No, it's chess. The queen.
Well, okay, Johnny. I literally, if we don't do an episode on female protagonists, I will do it myself, and I'll put it in as a filler episode because I love. There's the bullshit on female protagonists with things like a chess queen. Does that count as a female playable character? Yes, I want to get into it. But not here. We're talking about finding value in what the market doesn't value.
But that's something you could ask yourself, a hole you could go down and find all the games that had female protagonists, the first 10 games that ever had female protagonists, and then build yourself a little collection. And then one day people are going to be like, oh, that's worth money. Shit, we should have thought of that.
Yeah, it would be Metroid, right? That's the first one.
Yep, absolutely.
I put a guide on Video Game Sage of early female protagonists, and I picked out, like, specifically I put the cutoff at 1986 so I could just list 50 games before Metroid with female protagonists, because I love that shit. Fuck Metroid. I'm so set. Johnny, this is going to be a separate episode. I want to be a separate episode on fuck Metroid.
Hold on.
What?
Aren't you the biggest Metroid fan on the show?
I am the biggest Metroid fan on the show. But not because it has a female protagonist, even though Sam...
Yeah, because you hate women.
I'm not even going to jokingly agree with that, Johnny.
No, you should not. That's something you should very clearly state that is categorically not true.
Johnny has just been kicked off the show.
No, I'm not. Not dead yet.
Johnny, I don't know why I put this in a different category here, but I put the first game by creators that you could get. So rather than collect their entire... Oh, okay. Well, we got 2 updates here. So, Johnny, okay. I went to find the Shigeru Miyamoto ludography Wikipedia page, and they've changed it to Shigeru Miyamoto list of games. Strike it from the record, ludography is no longer a word. But
wow, they just removed it.
It's out of the dictionary, guys. Even Wikipedia was like, this is a little much. You guys are editing a little bit much here.
Like, why wouldn't you just call it gameography?
I don't know. That seems like
why
what it would be.
Make it easy?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Like, discography is a little bit weird because we're going to get out of the disc era. Filmography, we do still make some movies on film.
Yeah, but still, film is still known as like what the things are called. Well, they're still called films. Even
Oh, you're right. Okay.
They're on digital. Yeah.
So, should we... Johnny, I've got it. We'll call it cartography.
Oh, good. Perfect.
But you could...
I see how you mapped that out. That was a good job.
I don't even know what my point here. My point, you could collect the first game by some guy, and I just gave an example. Yu Suzuki's first game is Champion Boxing for the SG-1000 in 1984, and you think Yu Suzuki, you think all these Sega AM2 arcade games, Outrun and Hang On and Shenmue, we don't talk about that one. But his first game's like Champion Boxing for the SG-1000. Yes, Daddy Mulk on our fucking Collector's Quest Discord knows about Champion Boxing on the SG-1000, but for the most part, no one is buying copies of Champion Boxing. It's like a $40 game, and it's cool. It's Yu Suzuki's first game. That's something I bought earlier this year. And I hate seeming like I'm just like trying to hype something that I bought and be like, this is a cool thing to buy. It's like totally random. Like Sega AM2 and Yu Suzuki are literally my personal video game god. So if you have like some Final Fantasy creator or someone, go buy their first game.
I mean, it's weird. Like, it's like people follow directors, and writers around like, oh, so-and-so wrote this or so-and-so directed this, so I'm definitely going to go watch that movie, or, that's not uncommon, but it's less talked about in games.
Yeah, we all had to go watch the first Coen Brothers movie and be like, Blood Simple.
Yeah.
I bet it's got tons of awards and shit now that I said that, and we're going to get a hateful comment.
Well, the Coen Brothers do two types of movies, and I think people go into the Coen Brothers and they always expect like, they expect like the wacky stuff, but sometimes they do a serious movie that doesn't do all the Coen Brothers thing. It's just a solid movie, written by or directed.
I'm just going to cut my opinion just because the Wikipedia critical response section makes it sound like the most glowingly critically praised movie of all time. So my dislike of Blood Simple is
we're way off topic. We're in
so
after dark stuff. But what's your favorite Coen Brothers movie? Go. Better be Barton Fink. I mean, is it Fargo? Is it like the cop out answer?
It's not The Big Lebowski. Yeah, it's probably Fargo. I think Fargo, No Country, and A Serious Man are probably my favorite three.
Interesting.
Yeah. What are your favorite Coen Brothers movies, Johnny?
It's weird. I really like Barton Fink.
I love Barton Fink. I think so. I think the I will show you the life of the mind running down the flaming hallway is maybe my favorite scene in a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, it's really good. It definitely isn't Lady Killers.
Nope.
Sorry, Lady Killers. Yeah, I'm like, I really enjoyed Raising Arizona, but I don't think I still enjoy it as much. But yeah, Fargo's probably 2. And then, it might be Big Lebowski after that, or Oh Brother. True Grit's also very good.
I mean, all of them are pretty good, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, most of them, like, I even liked Miller's Crossing. I don't know. Inside Llewyn Davis is okay. Hail Caesar has its moments. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, if you haven't watched it, like, pretty good. The opening, and then, like, I thought it got, like, progressively worse. Some were very good.
The opening is definitely the highlight of Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I still think I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, but I mean, I just think it fell off after that.
Raising Arizona has, I think, maybe the best title card of all time. Maybe next to Funny Games, Johnny, which is also a heavy favorite of mine. Just because Raising Arizona's title card is something like 20 minutes into the movie, which is excellent. I love late title cards. Johnny, we're a little bit off topic.
Yeah, we're so off topic. You just cut this all out and throw it in after dark.
Okay,
anyways,
that never happens. But
nope, never has. Just so anyone listening doesn't think they're missing stuff. All right, so let's go to the next area, variant hunting. So, we've talked about all these ways to start looking at things. So start looking for variant sets or minor variants. And what kind of variants are we talking about here, Tyler, that people could go deep into?
If we're looking for things that the market doesn't value, I would say variants that people don't put in eBay titles would be variants to look for. So, for example, something that I'm casually plugging away at is Metroid Prime variants, because I'm the biggest Metroid fan on the show, Johnny. There are an unbelievable amount of Metroid Prime variants. There's one with like an IGN logo on the cover that says it's like some IGN thing. There's in between the Black Label and Player's Choice, when they were switching over, retailers put the Player's Choice sticker on the old copies of the game. So it's kind of hard to find a complete in-box copy with that Player's Choice sticker because most of them were put on sealed copies of the game. So that's a weird variant to find. Just all these variants that, like, you see them all the time. You see them in, like, oh, I don't want the one with, like, the weird badge on it. I just want a regular Black Label copy.
I don't want the Kmart variant.
Exactly. I don't want the fucking
Kmart. Is it 2 Kmart variants?
I think it's just there's one Kmart variant and it was bundled with a Wavebird.
There's one that...
are there two? Like, I haven't, like, seriously started mapping out these variants.
There's a Target one. There's a Kmart one. There's that weird text on the side one.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Is the Napster one for Metroid Prime 2?
That's Metroid Prime 2. That's a Target exclusive, I think. And that's only sealed. But so no one lists which Metroid Prime variant they have in their thing. So that's the kind of minor variants I would be looking for. But also, like, if you want to go deep into it, no one lists their print codes. There's a number on the bottom of NES boxes that is related to, like, where it is in the box sheet it comes from. It's like from 1 to 8 or something like that. So when you combine that number on the bottom of the box with the print code on the top flap of the box, there's literally like hundreds of variants for a lot of games that no one cares about at all.
No one. I would really, people are starting to identify print runs, but I think that's one that's I would strike from, like, but if you find like weird prints, weird later prints, I would be looking at like weird later prints, and any kind of sticker variant. Like, people love a sticker variant, especially if you can find it. There's so many weird sticker variants, which sometimes the sticker comes from the store. It was sold out. Sometimes it comes from, the production house, the factory or whatever. But I would be looking at those. Comics and stuff are just coming around now to some weird variants. They're starting to look more at like 3rd and 4th print books being valuable because they're, comics have kind of shifted back into rarity being like a big driver, like not rarity, not scarcity, but like even fake rarity, but like, oh, there's only like, they only printed 1,000 of this one. It had 4 prints, but there was only 1,000 of this one and they changed the cover. So go find the 4th print because that's like, there was 1 million of the other ones, but this one is kind of rare. So that's the one to go get. So I would be like, if you want to be ahead of the game right now, people are talking about first prints on games for Nintendo. Oh, that's the first or the second print. But one day we're going to expand past that. One day people will wake up and realize, maybe a Player's Choice is more valuable than we were originally giving it credit for because they made a lot less of those than the first prints.
Yeah, that's the perfect example of something that no one values right now is Player's Choice games. Because I don't value them either. I hate them. They're bullshit. But they are almost always the rarest version of a game.
Yeah.
And so another thing I wanted to bring up, this is kind of a twofer here. So one, I think that the variants that are hardest to identify or hardest to see in both a sealed game, if you can't tell it from a sealed game, or if you can't tell it from an average eBay listing, those are interesting variants to go for because they are the hardest to collect. The obvious example would be PCB variants, but you can go down the rabbit hole. There's like GameCube case variants, like the literal case has like a physical stamp on it. There's like weird variants for that. Johnny, do you have to go deal with something right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's picking up all over Mike. My son is melting down. So give me 2 minutes.
I think some of the most interesting variants are the ones that take a lot of effort to discover. So I would put NES print codes, which are on the flaps of the box in like this medium category, because you could usually ask a seller for that and they might give it to you. If you have a really good seller, they'll show you the flaps on the listing. So you can get that information sometimes. But the perfect example would be PCB variants, which is just like this pet peeve of mine that no one cares about them. And there's all these different kinds of like literal box variants, like DVD cases. DVD cases are not generic. You take the inserts out and start comparing your GameCube games. There are different DVD cases for GameCube games, and I don't even know. I know nothing about those variants.
They have codes.
They do. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret, Johnny. It's not a secret, guys. Go. Someone figure that out. Like, look at Dan Gomez's desk. He just has a bunch of empty DVD cases. And just be like, here's 12 Xbox 360 cases that look the same, but they're a little different in some way. And maybe there's a bunch of variants to collect within the same game there. But the PCB variants are what get me, Johnny. Because, Johnny, Super Mario 64, what's a card of Super Mario 64 cost? Is it $40?
$50?
Probably. All right, yeah, it's probably gone up. But it's sold for $1.5 million. We don't even know what the first print of that game is.
It was my chief complaint when we talked about it.
No, I know. Fuck. I know it's going to just be Schrodinger's game when we're talking sealed copies. I don't give a shit about sealed copies. But this game, at some point, was considered the most collectible game on planet Earth, which I know it's not. But it's sold for the most. We don't know all the PCB variants of Super Mario 64. Go to Google right now. Search for Super Mario 64 PCB. You can click the first 10 images. None of them are the same. I clicked them. There's like a bunch of 1996s, a bunch of 1997s, a couple 1998s in there, and they're all different weeks. And no one's documenting this. No one's even trying to find the first one of them, let alone all of them. So I think if you're the world's biggest Super Mario 64 fan, and for a game like Super Mario 64, which is probably like $50 loose right now, this would be a significant investment. But you could buy 200 copies of Super Mario 64 and either try to find all the variants, which I think would be incredibly difficult, or in that case, try to find the earliest variants you can. And like literally, guys, someone message me if you're doing this. I wanted to do this in games, and then the games I get outpriced on. Every once in a while, a lot on Yahoo comes up with like 200 Super Mario Brothers on Famicom. And I want to win one of those lots just to open all them up and document whatever's in there. Because obviously Super Mario Brothers, loose in Japan, not worth very much money. I want to get a huge lot of Super Mario Brothers and just start cracking them open, trying to find the earliest date code I can find.
You should do that. I wish you would.
I'm trying. You know, I'm being such a cheap ass about it. I'm like seeing these huge lots and I'm bidding like $2.50 a cartridge, and it goes for like $3 a cartridge, and I'm like, $3 a cartridge, and I know I should just go for it, but I've got so many other priorities, Johnny.
It's hard. There's so many things to buy.
I mean, this is a good episode for people who don't know what to buy because they think everything's too expensive. I've got plenty to buy that's not expensive that I'm trying to like jump on. Like for example, Johnny, our next category. Man, we're just flowing into categories except for that 15-minute break we had there.
50-minute break? You mean like 5?
Same thing. Video game history, Johnny. Do you care about video game history?
Well, I mean, you didn't also talk about, like in the last one variant, you didn't talk about cross-region sets and things like that.
All right, so talk about that. Never mind.
I mean, you could, like, you put this in here, but I'm not sure what you mean versus what I mean when I say cross-region sets. Like, are you saying buying the same game for every region? Because you can, you can find a super expensive Nintendo game. You could buy Contra here, for instance. We talk about Contra a lot, but you can get them, on the Famicom or, Super Contra, especially. Like, go get all the other versions. Get the one in Europe. Go get the one in Japan and see how they're different. Is that what you're trying to allude to? And like a lot of times, it's way cheaper to buy in other regions. And you could
I'd say
build a nice little
yes.
set
I'd
of
say
games.
Contra's a weird example just because it's super expensive on Famicom.
Yeah.
Probably
Well,
easier
that's
to
why-
do with more modern games.
That's why I switched up to Super Famicom.
Sure. But yeah,
But,
I mean, that's essentially what I meant is a variant set you could go for is just getting the same game across every region. If you go and look up Braveheart on Instagram, whatever Braveheart's name
The
is
real
on
Braveheart.
Instagram, he sometimes posts like, here's 20 of the same NES game from all these weird places in Europe
So
and
good.
Australia.
Yeah, he puts down, he's like, here's all the ice climbers. And you're like, holy shit, these are all the ice climbers? The small box, big box, Japanese, Korean, like, there's so many things.
He does not collect Japanese. Figure it
Is
out,
all
Johnny.
just European stuff? Oh,
He collects
sorry.
everywhere, and then he's like, Famicom, that's not Nintendo Entertainment System.
I'm with him on that because I buy the European stuff because I'm buying Nintendo stuff, not Famicom stuff.
Also, Braveheart listens to this show, so please correct me if I'm wrong on whether you collect Famicom, but if you do, why don't you post it when you post these amazing sets of games of every version of whatever the latest thing you posted is?
Yeah, and the last one he did wasn't Ice Climber. It was something though. It was a black box game, and it was like a pretty impressive
he did River City Ransom, and he posted 9 versions of it. All the other versions are called Street Gangs.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. What else? I'm doing that with Castlevania to a point. You know, there's like really fun ways, like especially if a game came out on multiple systems, and I'm not just talking like Nintendo. Like if you start to get into it, like with Castlevania, you can buy the MX version, you can buy the Sharp. There's so many games that are like this too. Especially, I think the MSX is like has so many classic Nintendo games that you could be buying over there too that people don't even look at. And I think, you know, there's cool boxes and different art and stuff. Like I'm not just talking about buying the Japanese versions on Famicom, but the region is full of other systems that you can be looking at.
So yeah, and some of those Castlevania games, I mean, those really aren't the rarest things in the world, but compared to NES, if you were just plotting their rarity versus their value, they are much rarer and usually cheaper than the NES counterpart, at least for Castlevania, just because I'm sure Castlevania is like, what, $200 now?
It's
I just make up prices and assume they're high. I don't even look at prices anymore.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Castlevania in a bit, but I know a nice hangtab one just sold for like a pretty penny. So there's that.
Castlevania is $165 according to Game Value Now, so probably $200 for a nice one. Good job, Tyler.
Yep. I mean, and back to Castlevania, if we're talking about prints, Castlevania 3, that's the second print better than the, we're calling it second print, but who really knows? The first major revision of the box art, removing that dumbass red badge. Way better copy than the first print.
Nope.
So
go
don't
get
be obsessed with
your
first
your
prints.
contest insert. It's cool to have the insert.
Just
get both.
Insert is super cool.
Both.
Box art, not cool. Right?
I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know. I like
you
seeing
think
the red badge. I'd rather see the red badge.
So the only time that I think like a badge like that, an advertisement badge, is cooler, because I just want to see the art, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with the pizza variant. Because what an excellent cross promotion it was to be like, here's a pizza coupon, because why wouldn't you? It made all the sense in the world.
I don't know. I maybe I've been collecting just like random modern games lately, and a lot of like the versions you want are like version that comes with movie tickets or includes soundtrack CD, and I'm like looking for that sticker when I'm going through eBay listings, and I'm like, oh, that one's got the sticker, so I know that's the one with the soundtrack.
Well, we said like look for sticker variants, right? And like because they do weird stuff. More collectible, and the rarity is usually much higher. I love a movie ticket variant because I love movies, and crossing that up with games is delicious and wonderful. But, I'm saying like on those ones, that red badge is so ugly and so poorly placed on Castlevania. Anyways, I digress. So cross-region sets is really what we're talking about. Looking at all the regions and beyond just regions, looking at other consoles where maybe your favorite game came out. Because if you're looking at just the Nintendo version, you're probably looking at the version with the most copies. So, like, we just talked about it in the Turbo episode, or we didn't talk about it in the Turbo episode, but like, if you wanted Altered Beast, like, you can go get Altered Beast on the PC Engine. There's a couple other good Sega games that you're like, oh man, these are like major Sega titles, but they're on the PC Engine. So that's like a cool, fun thing to display next to, the Genesis version. So I like it. And if you're looking for value, if it's a major series, people have already identified it as value. Now you're going to find a new way to make something collectible.
All right, Johnny.
That's all I
got. Video game history, Johnny. Do you think that is something people value right now?
No.
Because
yes
the
and
matte
no.
sticker sealed Super Mario Brothers is the biggest piece of video game history.
They fake value it, right? They fake value it. They're like, oh, you don't understand. These are the rarest first prints. It's like, you're fetishizing the sticker. You know how much I hate fetishizing a sticker or a UPC or any of that. You know how much
the longer I go into this hobby, Johnny, the more it is like, oh man, all that's really different about this is like the cartridge label, or all that's different about this is this minor thing on the box. And it just is like, video games is just trading cards plus. We're just collecting a little bit of cardboard that's different from all the other bits of cardboard, Johnny. Yeah. This whole hobby's bullshit.
Kinda. But yeah, that I don't think people really collect the history very much. We did the history of Mario, which I didn't do a good job of helping you with. But I like the series and the conceit of those episodes. And, I promise not to be as bad next episode when we do one. But yeah, I don't think people are really looking at the history. Like, the whole point of that Mario episode was like all the places you could look at Mario that isn't the matte sticker seal Super Mario Brothers, and be like, people say this is the history, and maybe it is, but that's not the true history. That's just, you know what that is? It's the equivalent of a band that's been out for like, I don't know, bands of usually we'll say like most bands, right? Like they've been out there making music for a long time. And then they finally hit, right? Whatever that album is, it hits. Maybe it's their second one, maybe it's their third one. And then, that one's like, oh man, this is it. This is like their first CD. And you're like, oh, CD, track, what do kids even call it nowadays? Whatever it is, you're like, no, it's not. That's not their first album. Their first album is actually this. This is only the popular thing that everybody knows about. That's the version of collecting we're in as far as history right now. And so no. Do you disagree with that?
No, I agree. The pop culture and characters matter. The impact it had on pop culture as a whole matters more than the impact it had on video games as a medium. I think we have plenty of people caring about the history of whatever affected the public conscience. There's no value right now. I mean, there's obviously people who do put value on this like weird, obscure stuff. But there's no value in the things that created video games. So, the perfect example of something I could think of, worthless PS2 game, probably even sealed, cost nothing. Kill Switch. It's the prototypical third-person shooter. And so there's like all these like weird third-person shooters. There's a 3DO game, Virtuoso is a third-person shooter. That's a really early third-person shooter. But Kill Switch on PS2, it's got a cover system, and it inspired all these modern games, like Gears of War and Uncharted, can be directly tied back to Kill Switch. It's this hugely influential game, and there's no real value on it, because who the fuck cares about Kill Switch? No one talks about Kill Switch anymore, unless someone is specifically discussing the history of video game cover systems, or, oh yeah, remember Kill Switch? It had a cover system before that was really a thing. So games like that, I don't think have value because it didn't affect pop culture, but it hugely affected the video game industry for having this revolutionary cover system.
Okay.
I think that stuff's cool, Johnny.
I think it's fine.
You think it's fine? All right.
I think it's just swell. Thanks, Tyler.
I mean, the problem with going after stuff like that is the further back you go, everything is an arcade game or like a mainframe game that you can't collect.
Right.
It's rough. Like you go into the history of 2D shooters, it's like, what is really the first important 2D shooter you can collect? Like, okay, We'll say like Space Invaders is probably the most important early 2D shooter. The Atari version? Are you going to go buy an arcade PCB and just like have a Space Invaders arcade PCB?
Is that before Missile Command?
Yes, Space Invaders is before Missile Command.
I don't know. I don't care about those games.
Old games are cool, Johnny. It's cool. Get some historical games, Johnny. What historical games are you buying next?
It'll probably be some horror games.
What about Black Box Haunted House?
Black Box Haunted House. Super important. It's part of the Sears labeling. And the best version of the game, because it came in a black box.
What's historical about it?
That it came in a black box and it was
God.
released. It was a Telegames release. Yeah. It's
Haunted
also
House on Atari 2600. It plays some role in the history of horror games. It is a key horror game, I will say. To use the key terminology, Haunted House is a key horror game. I don't know how many people are putting value in that fact right now.
They aren't, but they should. And like back in the days before this was a podcast and when it was a stupid blog, it's one of the first games I identified as like a Halloween game you should buy. Haunted House, go get it.
Very true, Johnny.
What also, Sweet Home.
Another. Maybe the first survival horror game, Gianni.
Maybe.
Sweet Home is super cool.
Or maybe it's Haunted House on the Magnavox Odyssey.
We should have a whole episode about this in October, Gianni.
Oh, yeah, we should. That's a preview of what's coming soon. Anyways, here's the one I can get behind pretty heavily. Actually, games that are actually rare. So, beyond the hype, because we know that rarity and money sometimes are following the same arc. But sometimes money is, a flat plane. It's like a nothing. It's not expensive. And the rarity is off the charts. So I like going after games that are actually rare sometimes. That's a neat hobby to go in. So Tyler, you say there's a 0% chance that Rule of Rose is the rarest PS2 game. Do you think that's true?
There's a 0% chance.
You don't think
I bet there are PS2 games. We can go on
absolute...
eBay right now and we can't
What about
buy.
Kuan? Do you think Kuan is maybe the rarest?
You know what, Johnny? I don't think Kuan is the rarest PS2 game.
It's probably some...
The rarest PS2 game just happens to be from Software, a super hyped up developer right now that everyone wants. And there's a couple copies at least on eBay. I'm saying a couple.
And in a super in one of PS2's key genres being survival horror. Yeah. So you don't think that's the rarest? It's probably the rarest game is probably that retail release. We have to put that caveat in there. Is probably some stupid soccer game with a variant cover that was only released in Mexico.
Yep. I'm counting. There are 14 copies of Kuon for the PlayStation 2. American complete in box copies on eBay right now. I think, is that the most expensive PS2 game?
Kuon, I think it is.
Okay. Well, guess what, guys? It's not the rarest. Go find out what the rarest is. And Xbox 360, that doesn't even have, what's the public conscious for what the rarest Xbox 360 game is?
I don't know, but on PS2
I don't even know for that.
Go ask. Go ask all caps on about PS2 stuff, and Xbox 360. Who's the Xbox 360 person?
I mean, it would be Dan Gomez, but the thing is, when you ask him what the rarest game is, he'll just tell you what the rarest game is. He's not going to give you whatever the, I don't know, Beatles Rock Band complete in box is probably pretty rare. That's kind of an expensive thing. I'm on Game Value now. There's nothing even ridiculously expensive. It's all just stupid limited edition stuff.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be one of these games that was an Xbox Live Arcade game that got a code in a box and was sold in Target.
So actually, Josh Byerly has said he's a proponent of the trough of no value, and he thinks the stuff that's valuable is the stuff that no one thinks to save. So he thinks those Xbox Live Arcade cards that everyone just rips off, punches in the code and throws out, that those will be valuable one day. Because nothing on Xbox 360 is rare, as far as I know. Who has those?
I mean, I've got a couple of the dumb ones that I think are neat to have, but I don't think they're ever going to be valuable.
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. I think the difference is with, and I agree, right? That like we all agree that the thing that is, we have all this manufactured rarity and collectability now, which is super annoying, but it is what it is. Versus back in the day, things got collectible because you know, they were meant to be disposed of and you didn't. But the other part of that is there was an item in there, like with toys, like you kept the figure and you tossed the packaging. And the super collectible ones are the figure in the packaging, right? Or you kept the game, and the more expensive one is the game in the box. There is an artifact in there that is still an artifact. You know, the card is like, calling the card the artifact is a little weird because it's like the trash. It's not really the artifact. Like, what is the more valuable version of it? If you never pulled the tab and you just have an unpulled, that's the super thing. Like, so like the code is the artifact. I can't quite codify how those two mesh perfectly. And maybe there will be some instances where that is true, but I think for the most part, I was going to say, I think it's going to be hard for people to collect little cardboard rectangles. And then I realized that trading cards are a thing. So F that, never mind. Anything's possible.
Anything is possible, Johnny. I bet within a year and a half, by the end of 2022, I will see some kind of graded Xbox Live Arcade game like that's just that 2D piece of cardboard.
I mean, I think you're likely to see the Zelda one for the Switch that was like the DLC one.
Sure.
I'm sure, like, once they start doing Switch games, like...
Okay, hold on. So the expansion pass, did that come with... I guess that did come with a little physical thing you could buy to give as a gift, right?
Yeah, there was a card, right? But GameStop had like a fake box that you can buy, printed up. But there was also a card that you could just buy like in Targets and stuff.
Okay. Johnny, I'm going to say a great way to find rare games. It takes work. You can't type in rarest Xbox 360 games into Google. We're going to do that right now. Rarest Xbox 360
The
games.
easiest way to find a rare game is to go to eBay and type in rare and then see what pops up. Those will obviously all be the rare ones because people wouldn't just use that word as marketing to try and sell their goods. They would be respectful of language and the meaning of the word, and they would, everyone's endeavoring to get it right. So only rare things will actually have rare in the title, except for games made by Rare, which might also have rare in the title, though they are not rare.
I think that you should probably go to the R10's YouTube channel and look for the rarest Xbox 360 games.
Man, I hope you guys all got your Earthbound.
Okay, I just clicked a random article that's going to give me the hype rarest Xbox 360 games.
Okay.
Their first one, NBA
Are they
Elite
cave
11.
shooters? Is that what are they all cave shooters?
I literally just scrolled to the top. I'm not going to read this whole article, Johnny. The first one's NBA Elite 11. That's obviously a giant outlier. I don't even know if you can count that as being released. Their number 2 is El Chavo. I'm going to look for El Chavo on eBay right now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is El Chavo cart. Hold on, I'm getting this mixed up.
El Chavo is like, that's a weird one because that's like a series that I think primarily comes out of Mexico.
Oh, wait. Is this just mixing up? Is El Chavo a game or is it just El Chavo cart? There's a dozen El Chavo carts. I'm just going to say they fucked up. There's like 12. Let's go to the next one. NCAA Football 14. I'm just going to say, no, that is clearly not the
rare.
rarest.
It's just
Xbox
expensive because you couldn't find other college games, but that's coming to an end. So I wonder if those games are all going to take a big fat hit.
All right. Next one is Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenchachi Collector's Edition. Oh, there's none of these for sale, John. This might be a genuinely rare game we found. Or I'm just typing in however you spell Tenchachi.
Or maybe you're looking on an English site when you should be looking, at its source country.
I don't know. Johnny, all right, here's my point. The point is, the stuff on the blog is going to be for sale. But you go to one of these price charting sites, just chop off the top 10%. All this garbage that people have already decided is valuable. And just go look for a game. Well, the real way to do it is literally search every game on eBay, find what's not available. Or just scroll through it and like Lollipop Chainsaw. Yeah, I've heard of that game, so there's going to be copies for sale. Autobahn Police? I have never heard of. Let me go look for Autobahn Police for the Xbox 360. Price tracking has it at $26 right now. There is one complete in box copy with a stock image for sale, and then there's 2 disc-only copies and a sealed copy, and that's it. I bet this game is rarer than El Chavo card, Johnny.
I would agree.
Find this stuff. This is the good stuff, guys. Everyone go buy Autobahn Police for the Xbox 360. Confirmed Collector's Quest. It's the rarest Xbox 360 game.
So if you go to Racket Boy, and I'm not here to talk smack about Racket Boy because I like them. They helped me out early in my collecting days. But if you look at they just printed like a 360 guide not so long ago. You've got games like Ultimate Alliance Gold Edition, the NCAA Basketball, El Chavo again, Hoops 2K8, FIFA 19 Legacy Edition. And then you have the interesting one on that list is Fallout 3 DLC Mothership Zeta.
Yeah.
So it's Fallout DLC, but it was sold in a retail case. So,
this gets into like the whole thing on modern consoles where it's like, what counts? Do these DLC things count? Do all these collector's editions count? Because that's what's going to be on these lists.
Yeah. And then when you get over into like, that's just released in the US. And then if you go over to like Japan, who knows? Well, that's the other thing. It's so hard to carve out what we don't know from other regions. Like it's hard to find the rare stuff in the US. So if you're like, this is the rarest thing, and then you don't include another region, it's problematic. Make sure your caveats are in place. But definitely look them up, because if you find the actual rarest stuff coming out of Japan or even out of Europe, especially on something like 360 where that system wasn't valued very highly, you're going to have some true gems if it ever takes off. Anyways.
Yeah. I'm happy my Autobahn Police example works, Johnny, because every other game worth over like $25 is a game I've heard of. So it could just be, it's a situation like the original Xbox, where if you just want a copy of any game, there's almost nothing rare on the original Xbox. But I think there's so many more games for the 360 that it's got to be some more.
There's gonna be some, like I said, there's gonna be some Xbox Live that they put on a disc, or a case with a code in it. There's gonna be that kind of stuff. There's gonna be a lot of weird stuff on 360.
Yeah, so that's not the stuff you'll be able to find on like a price tracking website by just punching in
absolutely not.
names. You got to look for the weird stuff.
No one knows to be looking for it. Like the Dan Gomez's of the world are the only people paying attention to this right now. I mean, and obviously a few other people, but it's not Nintendo games. Which is part of
who have we not mentioned here? Also, I put shout out to Bird Dog Gaming because his nickname on the show is the actually rare Bird Dog Gaming. But we've name dropped it. We got Dan Gomez, Josh Byerly. We got Braveheart.
Talk about sponsor of the show, Red the Game Shark.
Red the Game Shark. Go get your imports from Red the Game Shark on Instagram. Cheap games.
The games are always cheap games.
Who else? VG Collectaholic. He likes collecting video games. Who else can we throw out there that we always bring up on the show?
You already said Daddy Mulk.
Daddy Mulk knows everything about Sega and every game.
I mean, that might as well be a plug for our Patreon, because all those people are members of our Patreon, where you can join at patreon.com/collectorsquest for as little as $2 or no more than $6, because we have a bunch of people who know a bunch about a lot of games, sitting in there, all chatting. It is a resource unto itself. So why aren't you there? I think that's the hardest I've ever come at people to plug it. Sorry. Anyways, actually rare games. What else? What else about actually rare games?
Oh, I didn't have anything else on actually rare games. I think we talk about go find the actually rare stuff.
It's easier to do for modern platforms. Why is that? Why is it easier to do for modern platforms?
Johnny, what's the rarest NES game? I mean, okay, it's... I'm breaking my brain, Johnny, because I was going to say, obviously, it's Stadium Events, and then I want to go off about, like, Hong Kong Mahjong and Papillon Gals and all this bullshit. But... yeah. What's the rarest licensed US NES game? It's Stadium Events, and then you just have the title games, and then you have the people who are like in the know, quote unquote, who have known anything about NES for the past ever, and they'll say things like Pro Sport Hockey, because everyone, like, Pro Sport Hockey, always, like, one of the last 10 games everyone gets for the NES, because everyone just puts it off, because it's like, oh, Pro Sport Hockey, but it's there, and it's an uncommon game.
Let me be more succinct.
Out, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so I was like, let me TLDR you.
Jesus.
So it's easier to do for modern platforms. That's like finding actual rare stuff because there hasn't been decades and decades of experts mining out the data.
Yes. Like NES games at this point, it is like the perfect concoction of its rarity and popularity put together, and you get this list that's like immutable, where it's like the little Samsons and stuff at the top, where it's like, this is both rare and it's a really good game, and you filter down into the Pro Sports Hockey, and then you get all the way down to Star Tropics, where it might be a good game, but it's so common that we just don't value it. And that has only been shaken up recently by things like Super Mario 3 to the Moon and all the popular franchises like that. But yes, it's generally set in stone based on rarity for the older stuff.
All right, and this is one I like because this is our our real speculation right here, Tyler. Let's talk about the next item on the list.
Johnny, it's literally anything that can't be graded, which is beautiful in every aspect. So, Amstrad CPC games, Johnny, no one will buy them because they can't put them in a case and sell them for a huge premium, which is a wonderful thing for Amstrad CPC collectors. What are some other great examples? Super Famicom. I maybe want to grade Super Famicom. No, they don't.
They should though, and like, you know who would grade them though? Probably is that VHS site because they're the same size.
You'll probably see if it fits in It's not the same size as the VHS, Johnny.
And they're perfectly aligned.
Oh my god,
exactly the same size.
But yeah, so Super Famicom is an excellent example because it is common as fuck, and they're so cheap right now. But
it has plenty of history, all the big titles, everything you could ever want out of a system is sitting on the Super Famicom.
The best box art of any system of all time. Super Famicom games are amazing.
Yeah,
and no one will grade them, so they're very cheap. But once people start grading them, you're going to see, all of a sudden, all of those $5 near mint condition copies that I used to see are not appearing anymore.
Yeah, your second I can never say it. Your Secret of Mana over in Japan is going to be super expensive. All of a sudden, it's going to get dumb. It's going to get real dumb, people. If it ever happens,
I am super curious to see, like, if people start caring about complete and box stuff, like. Because the desirable RPG stuff like Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger is so beyond worthless on Super Famicom. I want to see if it's possible. You can literally
go to Japan and buy an armful of Super Nintendo RPGs for like $40.
Yes. Anyway, I think it's important to point out that a great thing to collect is stuff that can't be graded. Even like Nintendo DS. Like, even like sealed, I think that those prices are held back because WATA doesn't grade DS games. But the second people know that they can just immediately buy games on eBay, send them to WATA, and sell them for 4 times the price for no reason because it's the magical WATA case, like you won't be able to get anything sealed on DS anymore.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go even a little bit more into the minutia on this thing. Where games that can't be graded, DS is a wonderful example for this, because if you look at the DS, the stuff that's expensive, they're living in old collector world where they're like, oh, this game is rare and we don't see any copies, so therefore it's expensive. Yeah, go find your what is it? Not Moto Racer, like there's a Power Bike and Shepherd's Crossing 2s and some burger game and Girls Only DS or what, like all these stupid, there's a bunch of stupid games that are very expensive. They have nothing to do with anything. They're garbage titles from garbage, publishers that no one is ever going to care about. So right now is the time to be going to that system and buying your Marios, your Zeldas, your Nintendo, anything that was made by Nintendo or Sega, because Sega put out a lot of games on that. Like, go find the big titles that matter in popular culture right now, because Wada isn't grading those. And when they do, those are going to be the titles. Anything that's tied to pop culture, they're going to care about. Who gives a fuck about Shepherd's Crossing 2? Nobody's going to care.
But is there a Jurassic Park game on the DS, Johnny? You might be the first one to sell it.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. That there's a world of very important games you could go get there that aren't any of the stupid, super expensive, rare stuff. They're, like I said, they're an old collector land where they're like, yeah, and there's none of these. I'm serious. Like, stop. Like, people keep trying to send me down the river on these DS games. They're like, well, this one's super rare. I'm like, I don't care. I just cannot make myself care about that game.
Oh my.
Right. But spoiler, but I did buy a game that is like kind of expensive for the DS that I think you should buy. Talk about that later.
Okay, John. Is it the Diamond Trust of London?
It is the Diamond Trust of London.
I did not know that in advance.
No, it's not. Okay. It's not. But you should buy the Diamond Trust of London. Guaranteed the lowest print run of any game because it was and published, like Nintendo said, this is the smallest print run we allow. So we know it was the smallest print run. I mean, there could be others that have, but then they did a special edition Diamond Trust of London. It's finally starting to heat up. I saw copies of the special edition finally hitting through. This has been my spec pick for 10 years. Go get your Diamond Trust of London. It's going to pay off one day.
There's one LE on eBay. It's number 344. Or you can get the sealed regular. Is the regular one cool, Johnny? Because there's this guy that has over 100 of them.
Yeah, he probably has all of them. Once that 100 is gone, there isn't going to be any more.
This game comes with fucking stamps, Johnny.
Yes.
Are these real stamps?
I don't know. I didn't open my special edition.
Oh my God. This is probably the only game that comes with stamps. 2.5 cents. I can't tell. They look like fake stamps, which would make sense. But literally, stamps are cheap enough that they could include real stamps. I'm looking into this later, Johnny.
Okay.
It's 100. Should I bid $100 on one? It's got a day left.
Oh my God. Is it just the regular version or the special edition?
No, the regular ones you can get for $35 new. There's like a Deal Tavern guy who just has infinite copies of that. But should I get Diamond Trust of London limited edition number 344 for $100?
Probably. I think the last one sold for more than that.
Well, then I'm not going to win it, Johnny. So that doesn't really help me.
Yeah. I thought it was a buy it now. You're saying you have to bid?
Oh, no, I'd be panicking more and trying to figure it out right now. No, it's got 2 days left.
Okay.
Anyway, there's your Diamond Trust of London reference of this episode. While we're talking about things Wada won't grade. Or that no one will grade. Look, PC games are a perfect example.
But people care about PC games, and they only care about the good ones or the ones PC collectors already collect in the way that we talk about collecting.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a thing that PC collectors make way more sense than console collectors.
Yes.
Because they collect good games, because they literally don't have enough physical space in their house to collect everything for Windows computers. They're just let's get all the Half-Lives and Far Cries and Unreal Tournaments.
Well, no, but they'll follow people who make the games, right? This guy made this game. Like, they're already doing all that weird stuff. And they're and then it's so littered with variants, so they're already trying to find the best versions or just buying the first prints.
Yeah, I said this in the Discord, but I wanted to buy an original copy of Unreal, and I ended up buying one. So I looked up Unreal variants, and the best way to do it is to find an Unreal collector and look at their collection, and I almost cried, because the original Unreal, there's 50 versions of it on PC and various ports, and I'm just I guess I'm just going to get a copy.
There's just no documentation. One thing we didn't do before we wrap this up, do you have more to say about this before we wrap this up?
No, we can. People get the idea. There's stuff the market doesn't value. Go find it.
Yeah. So I want to just go back to equating it to how comic collectors do this. And I can't express to you guys enough what an ocean of garbage video game collecting is as far as information goes. It's just it's like you're in the information and you can kind of see it, but pulling it out and making it useful is still so hard. And the comic guys just have it down. Like, if you go to Key Collector Comics, that's get 2 free weeks by putting in code Tom101. That's a joke. We have no sponsorship with them. I don't know he's just like a YouTuber. Sorry, it's an inside joke. But they, like, if you go and you're like, okay, I want to search by categories of things I'm looking for. I'm just going to read a couple. First appearance, first on-screen appearance, third appearance, 80s game, an action figure variant, a card variant, 90s cartoons, ashcan covers, Batman gadgets.
Johnny, like, you could apply some of these to video games, like the set of 90s cartoon games. Like, who's collecting that besides people who are collecting anything licensed they think they can flip?
Exactly. So they've just got all the minutia, classic cartoons, Looney Tunes. Like, they've already got it broken down into this. Cool covers. There's just a thing where it's like cool covers, convention exclusives, which there are now. So, like, this is just stuff you're going to be looking at. So if I'm one of these companies and I'm making, making games now, I'm going to start applying everything I know from companies that have already done it. There's one that's just Disney. Like, oh, that's a filter. You should be buying all these Disney games. We talked about it, in the last episode. Like, we think Disney variants are valuable. F.U. Tailspin, still a garbage show with the worst theme song. I don't care what anyone says. Come and fight me. Tailspin has such a garbage. I had like 5 people try and slide into my DMs to tell me that the Tailspin theme song is good. You are not correct. Okay? Go back to listen to your reggae and whatever else you like, but Tailspin is not the best one. Tailspin is the musical equivalent of steel drums. Not into it. It's out. Not for me. Hate it.
I've only seen support for the Tailspin hate floating around.
Have you? I had like in. Oh, thank goodness that there are some
people out there. We got the crew together, Jen. Don't worry, they're out there.
Yeah,
we have supporters.
5 people, like literally 5 people come into my like. They're like, oh, you were so wrong about Tailspin. It's the best. Like, oh no, the Tailspin song is fire. I'm like, no. Whatever it is, it definitely is not fire. Come on. Anyways, the point is, if you go to any of these sites and you like look at how they break things down, it's a good way to go look for some other stuff. They've got like, you can filter it by lenticulars. That's a whole set I never would have thought, but there's a bunch of games that have lenticular covers, and you could go, if it was a comic book, you could then go find all of those.
Get Claymates. You got to get Rygar on the PS2. What else you got to get?
There's some special editions with the Ultimate Spider-Man, which is also a comic on PS2. Woo! That's one I actually haven't bought yet, and I keep meaning to, and I probably missed the boat on that one. But yeah, just saying, there's a whole avenue of things to go look at to find collectability where maybe you haven't been looking for, and there's plenty of examples out there. You don't just have to take our word for it. So, all right, that's all I got on that topic.
I wouldn't take our word in anything, Johnny. Are we moving on to what have you been buying?
Collector's question.
It's all good catch, Johnny. I've got that collector's question coming up right now.
Oh yeah,
right now.
They even have one for valuable third prints.
Valuable third prints?
Yes.
Comics is such a strange world. So comics is even weirder just because, like, there's a fuckload of video games that come out, but, like, there's a deluge of comics. It's impossible to comprehend. Like, how does the comic market eat up the supply that comes out? There seems like too much of it, Johnny.
I don't know. I mean, well, that's why there's so many comics that are just, like, worth absolutely nothing. Yeah. And now they're doing the manufactured rarity. It's like the 90s all over, but we didn't learn any of the lessons. So, like, what are you going to do?
Johnny, when everything's the rarest, nothing's the rarest. And, one of the things we said was find the rarest games. And, like, the literal rarest PS4 game might be, like, some limited run games thing, but that won't be the hardest to find, which might be a distinction that you need to look for. Sure. But you might want to get the rarest one anyway, because it's probably cool. Stop talking in the Ask the Podcast channel, guys. I'm having such a hard time finding a question.
Well, it's just, what are you doing? Just yelling at random people?
Yes. Why are Pogs evil? Here, let me put the cross out sign on that, and we're not going to answer that question. With all the Wii shovelware that was made, why didn't someone make a Pog game for the Wii? Do you think there's hope we can get a VR Pog game at some point? That's by DGenX. I don't know if it's a serious question, Johnny.
Let's go ahead and just answer it anyways. Do you think we could ever get a VR? I think you probably could. I doubt it would be on a console, but you could probably go to like Tabletop Simulator and get some of that sweet VR action with your virtual Pogs.
Oh, you know what? Tabletop Simulator, I would not be surprised if it had Pogs. Good call, Johnny. I might just cut all that because that was nonsense. I found 2 real questions for us.
Okay.
First is by Tiger Wolf, and we may have answered this years ago, but we're going to get back into it. How did you get into collecting, both collecting in general and specifically video game collecting? Do you remember a specific moment, or was it gradual for you?
Okay. Do you have an answer? Because I have an answer to this one.
You go
very
first.
Specifically. Okay. So it was 2004, and I was with my best friend and another good friend at the time, and Nate and Eric, and we're in Ventura. You know, my buddy had this condo down at the beach, and we would just go down there. It'd be sweet gaming sessions, and we'd just hang out, and we'd go play ping pong. And you'd think we'd like maybe go to the beach or something too, because we were right on the water. Definitely didn't do that. But there was a Game Crazy that we went into. If you don't know what Game Crazy was, it was like the attachment to Hollywood Videos that was like their game store. And I was in there, and I was like, oh man, they've got video games in there. I'm just going to go like, look at these used videos. It's like kind of like walking into a GameStop. So I'll go in there. I was like, man, there was a used, let me clarify. There was a used video game store in my city to that. I walked in plenty of times, but never thought about buying the old games that were sitting there. Like, oh yeah, I had that game. But for some reason, something clicked in this stupid Game Crazy. And I'm looking at Zelda, and I just went, man, I should have every game that I've ever beat. Like, why did I get rid of, like, I have all of my favorite books. Why don't I have all of my favorite games? That seems ridiculous to me. These are the things I value these things. I talk about them with people. Why don't I own these things I love? That's crazy. Now, I obviously strayed from that path because I have a lot of games that I don't love. Looking at you, most of my collection, I love them in a different way, but they weren't the Metroids and the Zeldas. But I just remember sitting there staring at that cart, and it all just like, man, this is the thing I should like. Why am I not buying these things? And they were all like $5 or something. So I just bought like a handful of these carts. I was like, man, these are some of my favorite.
You probably got hosed.
Yeah, I probably was like, I was paying a Game Crazy price. Like, what a dummy. You know, the best value I ever got out of a Game Crazy was buying a Hori controller for the GameCube. So, like, for Game Boy player games, now that controller is like very expensive. But I was just like, that looks like a Super Nintendo controller, and it's $10. I'll buy it. That was so literally, smart, that my whole thing. Like,
I mean, that's literally the reason people want it. They're just like, that looks like a Super Nintendo controller for the GameCube. I'll pay anything for it.
Yeah. So, but that's like sitting in that Game Crazy. It all just clicked. And then I was like, oh, now I should go look for more things. I should be going to garage sales. I should be doing this. How do I do this? And I didn't then it came and then it started to evolve. And was like, well, should I have all the boxes? Or like, do I care about that? Should I find, and then cause I got a couple with boxes and then I was like, these don't really sit together. Like, that's where the OCD kicked in. Couple with boxes, couple without boxes, all sitting on a shelf, and me going, those don't look great next to each other. How do I fix this? How do I even store these? What am I doing? And so it's devolved into whatever the hell I am now. So
too bad you went to that Game Crazy.
Yeah, like it was either a huge mistake or a stroke of genius. And I keep having those moments in my life where I find out new ways to spend my money on things instead of putting them into, I don't know, reasonable avenues of making more money. I'm like, you know what? There's a Hot Wheel I got for my 5th birthday that was like pretty sweet. And I've got a really good memory to, I should go figure out how to go buy that. That's like the kind of shit that my brain is coming up with now. But it revolves around the same kind of thinking. Like, I love these things. Why not?
No, I literally stopped myself
yours?
from that line of thinking all the time. Like, there's a specific Micro Machines set that I had. It was like a missile base that transformed into like the interior of a missile base. Like a fucking wonder of technology. This was my Castle Grayskull Johnny of the 90s. And like VoiceBot was another one. It was like a little purple robot that you can give voice commands to. But like, if I start collecting toys from my childhood, I have enough giant boxes. I don't even have enough room for all the consoles.
I'm not saying, like, that's why I bought my Star Wars figures. I didn't buy a whole Star Wars set. I bought like a couple of the nice ones. I still have a few left, but I'm not going crazy that way, you know. There's just a few. This stupid Hot Wheel was like, I just remember, like, because I got it for my 5th birthday, and it was such a major meltdown moment for me because my mother, she had these grab bags for the other kids, and she was asking me to help her put some together. And the kids were already there at the party. We're in the living room, and everyone else is outside on the patio. And it's the only birthday I ever had where like I had a bunch of people show up when I was a little kid. And I don't know like how it even happened. I guess my mom organized all this stuff, which is really unlike her if you've listened to any of our stories. Yeah. But whatever happened in this moment, I was having this awesome birthday, and I saw this Hot Wheel. It was this gold Hot Wheel with like a big motor on the back, and like it was like a sports car though, and it had like lightning bolts, but it was like the shiny, like it looked like gold dust on it. So it wasn't like a flat gold. It was like a material looking gold. Like I don't know. I don't have the word for it right now. But anyways, I lost my shit when I was like, that's the coolest thing. I'm like, I want that. And my mom was like, no, this is for the other kids. Just fucking melting down because I was 5. But I remember the meltdown. And I remember very like fighting with my mom. And I remember her pulling one out of the closet that was wrapped and just telling me to fucking open it because she was so mad at me. And then it was already there. So she had already got me. She got me one of all the cars that she was giving to the kids, like that were in the grab bags because you're a shitty kid, Johnny. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it sounds like she shouldn't have enlisted your help. Would be her solution to this problem. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know why she did. But
maybe she wanted to show you all the cars, so then you could be like, "Oh, I got all of them."
Maybe I don't know what the line of logic was, but I just like it. Good. I also on that birthday got the speeder bike, which is still one of my favorite toys to this day. And I got the speeder bike pilot, or scout bike, scout trooper, speeder bike, and the scout trooper. Yeah, just like some of my favorite things.
You're talking about Anakin's pod racer, right?
Nope, that's not what we're talking about at all. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, I just have like weirdly vivid memories from that party, but that meltdown, like it's there's like not very many moments I remember like the full meltdown that I had, but yeah, that was one of them. 5 years old. Now I want to find that car. I don't even know what it's called. I'm like, I should find that car. I was telling my wife today. She's like, yes, I know. I've heard the story. Like, go find the car if you fucking care about it. She didn't say that because she was nice. She was like, oh yeah, you should. Anyways, that was a very long answer that barely applied. Tyler, what was the moment that you realized that you wanted to collect video games? How did it happen?
Well, collecting in general, I would probably call myself a lifelong collector since I was very young. One of my earliest collections I remember, I had a nature collection on my bedstand, which was just it was like pine cones and rocks and pressed like probably weeds. It was the worst. Eventually, I figured out that I'm an idiot, and I threw all that out. But also, my grandpa was a big collector. He collected coins and stamps were the big things. And so he would take me and my brother around to stamp shows in New York City when they happened, at least once a year. And stamps are great for kids because guess what? Most stamps are worth like less than $0. Like completely, You could just give a kid a bag of stamps and be like, sort through it, find the cool stuff. And when you're a kid, you're like, wow, 200 stamps, I'm going to find the cool stuff. So I've always had that in me. And then, Johnny, in 1999, there was this, it was an obscure thing. It was called the Pokemon trading card game, in which literally everyone of a certain age became a collector overnight. And I think I'd already been like a little bit on the Magic the Gathering train, because I remember my first Magic pack I bought was Stronghold. So you could probably tell me off the top of your head when Stronghold came out. 1998?
I can't tell you that.
All right, whatever. I got into Magic whenever Stronghold came out. Or whenever Stronghold was in stores, so it might not have been when it came out. But yeah, then Pokemon obviously came along, and hoarding cards and I wouldn't trade any of my Pokemon cards. I'm just like I am now. Like, if a card is in my collection, I'm like, I gotta keep it. It's in my collection. I can't trade it away. I need to have both. I can't trade my Zapdos for an Articuno because I need an Articuno and a Zapdos. That's always been my mentality throughout my entire life.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, and then, once Pokemon got me going around to the stores and I got into the comic store, like, forget it. Like, once Magic the Gathering hit me, like, Magic the Gathering hits you like a fucking ton of bricks, dude. And just spend all of your money as a teenager on Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's Magic the Gathering. What a fuck you Magic the Gathering is to money.
Like, oh my, if you're like seriously deep into like Alpha Beta Unlimited stuff as an adult, like, I'm sorry that you got into Magic the Gathering, dude. It must be a rough life.
I don't even collect in Alpha and Beta, but I'm still buying Magic cards, right? Like, and the stuff I start collecting in Magic cards is just like so stupid.
I'm buying Magic cards. I don't even want to collect Magic. I buy the dumbest shit, Johnny. Like,
what did you buy? Besides those Faithless Looting.
Yeah. I saw the Faithless Looting. I'm like, this is the worst Magic card ever printed. I want 8 of them. And they're like 25 cents. And then I just went and bought a bunch of other new shit that I've never seen. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Now they're like making a Drizzt Do'Urden card. And it's like, do I want D&D Magic cards? It's kind of cool.
Did you get the rulebook variant, though?
The rulebook variant? I don't have anything from the Forgotten Realm stuff, but what do you mean?
Yeah, so yeah, there's a regular version of the card from Dungeons and Dragons, and there's also the one that looks like they would appear in a Dungeons and Dragons rulebook with that style art.
That's amazing. Like that.
Yeah,
that
they're
stuff's
very
cool.
cheap.
I
bought all of them.
The hidden what's the vault thing that they do?
Secret Lair.
Secret Lair. They just like make
it was from the
really
vault,
cool fake rare cards for collectors, right? That's what they are.
What's that?
The Secret Lair cards. They're just really cool fake rare cards for collectors.
Yeah. Basically, they're all cards that exist, and they just they say, hey, give us $30. We'll give you these 4 cards. They might be foil, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, and some of them are like awesome and playable, and like you're happy to get a reissue of, and others are just like trash.
I think so many of those are cool, and like I don't collect Magic, and I don't play Magic, and I look at them, and I'm like, fuck, I want these cards just because Magic has its roots in me. So yeah, that's how I became a collector. I'm sure it's a very common story to become a Magic the Gathering kind of man. And video games, I could pinpoint video games very easily. You could probably go through the GameSpot.com news archive, find out whenever Nintendo announced the Virtual Console. That day, I'm like, this is bullshit. $5 for a Nintendo game, $8 for a Super Nintendo game. What do they think, we're idiots? You have to put yourself back in 2005 or whenever this must have been announced. Because like this is before Horse Armor lit the world on fire with Oblivion, which was a $2 DLC thing that like lit the world on fire because people didn't want to spend $2 on cosmetic DLC. So the concept of spending $8 for a Super Nintendo game that you don't own, when up until this point, literally everyone is just like, I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to download Super Metroid. I'm going to play it in SNES 9X. I thought it was the craziest thing ever. And so kind of collecting video games, I already had the collector gene, but specifically going after video games was my way to beat the system, to be like, fuck you, Nintendo. All these games are going to be less than $5 and $8 forever, so let me go get all of them. And that's why I didn't care about like complete in box things. It was strictly about having all the games to play cheaper than Nintendo would charge me for them.
You're like, I'm not getting suckered by you, Nintendo.
I don't even know when I started. Like I probably bought 200 games before I spent more than like $20 on a game, Johnny. Like I literally would just buy everything that's less than a certain amount. And I don't know when I switched over and I'm like, oh, Nintendo, like, and then I'm on the forums. It's probably just the forums like, oh, wow, Nintendo World Championships. Oh, look at these rare Atari games. No one has these. There are 9s. And then I got into that mindset. And now here I am now. Doing whatever I'm doing now, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm on a podcast talking buying Japanese
stuff. Yeah. You've made it. I think you've yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, do we have another question, or do you want to kill it there?
Lord Hardstyle Z asks, do you remember the first game you played, and what is it? Lady Hardstyle sends her love.
Do I remember the first game I played? I think we've talked about this on the show. Like,
have we? Oh, I'm scared I'm going to give a different answer then.
Well, I mean, the memories all kind of congeal together. So, in second grade, I remember playing Combat. That was like the first game I played by myself, but like I played arcade games like Pac-Man and stuff, before that, so it's hard to pinpoint, but it's like probably a Pac-Man or a pinball machine, honestly. 'Cause my dad would take me into arcades and stuff, but, also like Crystal Caverns and, I always call it Crystal Caverns. I forget. I mean, it's Crystal Castles. I don't know. It's got the bear wizard
Crystal Castles
on the
Bentley Bear.
So it's a game I should buy. I talk about it a lot, and I don't own it. So that's the first one I remember not playing, but like telling my dad that that's the one I wanted him to get. But I don't remember what we were playing before that. But I remember playing like Haunted House at a friend's house and stuff. So like pinning it down to exactly, I don't know. It's some Atari game. Yeah, not. It's that's all congealed. That's all in the early times.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. So my dad had a 2600, and I specifically remember playing Missile Command and Kaboom with him on that. But that could have been after I had a Sega Genesis, and I got a Sega Genesis with Sonic 2, so it could have been that. My dad also played Wolfenstein 3D Shareware. I specifically remember that because I thought PC-13 was so cool. Because like, oh my god, I'm nowhere near 13 and I'm playing this game. This is amazing. Might have been Wolfenstein 3D. And then my grandpa had a 286, which had Commander Keen and Goodbye Galaxy on it, and a casino game that had strip poker. And I wasn't young enough to know what strip poker was, how to play poker, or how to quit the program. And it was only the strip poker program I couldn't quit. So I specifically remember I would get stuck in the strip poker program and I'd have to call my grandma over to get me out of the game. And she'd always make some comment like, oh, you're looking at this again. Oh, you naughty kid. And I had no idea. Like, I didn't see any nudity. I was just like stuck in this game and I don't know how to play poker, so I wasn't winning. So that's another memory of the first games for me.
That's pretty funny. All right.
Yeah. That's an all right. Moving on. Ask us questions. Yeah. We're almost out of questions. So
hey,
go to
let's send our love back to Lady Hardstyle. Come on now.
Lady Hardstyle, if you're listening, we're sending you love from the Collector's Quest podcast.
Also, I'm just saying that name is like leads itself to so many double entendres. We have to be careful.
I don't know what you're talking about, Johnny. Make some double entendres.
No.
Well, okay. So sounds like you're wrong.
No, I'm not going to do that. That's disrespectful. I'm saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying it's like my brain just riffs on stuff and I'm like, oh, that leads us to like, we could say something stupid and now what?
Just cutting this. This is the worst content, Johnny.
You should cut all that. Anyways, let's talk about what we bought, what we played.
Hey, Johnny, what are you buying? What are you playing?
Well, I'm definitely not playing World of Warcraft like co-host Stefan, who's not on the show right now.
No, he switched from World of Warcraft to EverQuest, so he's probably still playing EverQuest. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the Discord and it says World of Warcraft.
Oh,
but he could have just left it on. It always says I'm playing MTG Arena. I'm just being an ass for no good reason. Anyways, Tyler, what did I play? I didn't play anything because it has been a hellacious couple of weeks and there's been like zero time and it's going to be that way, honestly, for like at least the next month. My outlook for free time is pretty poor, makes me sad. Unless you count Magic the Gathering, I did play a little Magic the Gathering. So that's that. But what did I buy? Tyler, I bought like almost nothing. Except I did buy a couple of DS games. I bought Coraline for the DS, secret rare. It's not actually rare, but it is kind of expensive. All the Coraline on the PS2, on the Wii, and on the DS, all kind of expensive. So go ahead and look for those. I bought a really dumb Munsters game for the ZX Spectrum.
I'm in. Yes.
Yes. And there was multiple copies. Like there was different kinds I could have bought, but I picked the ZX Spectrum one on purpose because I liked the case the best. Plus it says, it's got a little sticker on it that says it includes a free t-shirt iron-on transfer. And I can't tell if that's like in the box or they didn't say if it's included or not. I'm hoping it's in there because I think that would be really cool. The other thing I bought is Alien Infestation for the DS, and that's the one I was talking about. That's a game. It's a major property. It's like a shooter. It's got a lot going for it. It is already expensive. It's already like $80 to $100 on the DS. But if you're like have one of those sealed one that it comes up one day, like that's going to be one of the ones to have. So just look for that. And then I bought what I bought.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Go back to this Alien Infestation game. I'm sorry. This was Alien Infestation for DS.
Yep.
And you bought it complete in box.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it's a DS game. What?
So you bought it complete in box, but you're saying that like sealed, this is going to be rare?
No, I'm saying if you were, when we talked about speculating, buying things, that aren't graded by WATA yet, I'm saying if you were looking for something, games like this, which check a lot of boxes, are the stuff I would be targeting.
Okay,
and
I just wanted
properties.
to come back to something that we didn't even mention, Johnny, because it's something that I do. Things the market doesn't value is these variants that sell for thousands of dollars, the complete in box version of them. That's literally the same thing without the shrink wrap. And I'm not talking about your Marios, which are like hundreds of dollars now. Like Skyrim, a first print of Skyrim can sell for over $1,000 on Xbox 360 sealed, which bananas pants on head crazy land. But like a complete in box copy, $9 shipped with the correct pre-order variant with the high quality map inside. So another thing market doesn't value, just go see what people are spending thousands of dollars on for modern stuff and just buy the worthless complete in box version. Because a lot of times, like the sealed variant that goes crazy just because it is so rare and it is sealed, it does not have that crazy premium for the complete in box version, at least for a lot of the modern stuff. All right. Agreed. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Oh, no, it's fine. And then I bought this really dumb game called Linda Hyde Vampire Mansion. It's a PAL DS game, and it's a seek and find game just because Halloween. That me.
I'm sorry. What is it? Like, Linda Hyde?
Linda Hyde Vampire Mansion.
Oh, Hyde, HYDE.
DE, yeah.
This is.
It's a hidden object game in the vampire world.
I mean, it looks.
Look at the cover and tell me how was I not buying?
I hate hidden object games that have the little the magnifying glass. Even though that's like what tells you on the box art that it is a hidden object game, it just makes it look so cheap, as if this stock photo image of a haunted mansion isn't cheap looking.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's called Vampire Mansion and not Haunted Mansion, because there's so many haunted mansions, not many vampire mansions.
Yeah. I am a little confused by the gravestones on the cover because they're like right in the walkway. It's like, wow, this is a poorly designed mansion. You shouldn't bury people in the direct line to your front door. You'll trip over them. It'll also it'll be difficult to get groceries in. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, I bought that dumbass game because there's a big haunted mansion on it. It says vampire in the title, and it's Halloween. There's a mansion in a graveyard. What do you want from me?
Wow.
This is where I bought those Primal Rage cards that I don't know much about. They come from Toys R Us. They have moves on the back. That's what I bought. That's what I bought in the last couple weeks.
Are those Nintendo Power cards? What were those again?
No, they're from Toys R Us.
Oh, Toys R Us. I'm sorry. Yes. And we don't know what they're from. And someone's like, oh man, those guys are just buying stuff. They don't know what it is. For Primal Rage cards, which looked sweet and had the moves on them for 25 cents. Sure, I'll pick that up. No big deal.
I spent 25 cents a card is what the cost was. So I was like, yeah, I guess I can buy these. It was like 8 cards. Anyways,
Johnny,
that's what I got. Tyler, what about you?
I'm playing Shantae. I got nothing new to say
Still?
about that game. Yeah, I've got RSI. I can't play because of my hand cramps up playing the 3DS, so I can only play it for like a half hour at a time. So basically, I'm wondering if I should just start over and buy the Switch version so I could use a Pro controller, because that I could actually play with. It's literally slow going just because I hate the platform, which it's probably impacting my enjoyment of the game. So I'm very sorry, Shantae.
Why wouldn't you just buy it? Yeah, just go buy the Switch one.
Yeah, like now I'm a few hours into it, and it would be dumb to start over, Johnny. No, or buy a different Shantae and just go. It's gonna be the same thing. Johnny, I bought the Netlink game pack for the Sega Saturn. Did I bring that up on the show? I don't think I did.
I think you talked about it elsewhere, but
okay.
Yeah.
So the Netlink game pack, it's a Sega Saturn Netlink, which is the network adapter for it, and it comes with 2 games. It comes with a Virtual-On Netlink Edition and Sega Rally Netlink Edition,
which come in little sleeves.
They come in jewel cases, and so
I thought they were sleeves.
So there's the
it's
Saturn
the other one
triple pack is one that comes with sleeves.
Okay, yeah.
These come in jewel cases, and for the longest time, I've had the jewel cases, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I've got the complete Saturn set. And at some point, we must have been talking about, I think this must have been on a show 1 or 2 shows ago, where it came up like, does the Netlink game pack count as part of the Sega Saturn set, or do just the 2 games within it count as part of the Sega Saturn set?
The whole thing, they're part of the box that contains it.
So Virtua Fighter, or is it Virtua Fighter 1? That only came as a bundled thing in a console bundle, so you need the entire console bundle, Johnny? And you could say yes, that's a totally valid thing.
Yes.
All right.
That's how I feel. I mean, when I was buying Outback Joey, I needed the box because that I considered that a part of the cardboard set.
Well, yeah. So Outback Joey is, of course, the one game in the Heartbeat Personal Trainer set, which is what you're saying, Johnny.
Nope.
Anyway,
for the Genesis cardboard box set.
So,
because it's just a Genesis.
Netlink Game Pack is not the most common thing ever, and it also, no one wants it. I don't think this sells very often. I literally bought it not only because it came up on the show, but because Josh Byerly is collecting a Saturn set, and I know he will get everything and wants all like the good stuff. And because there's only one reasonably priced copy on eBay, I'm just like, I need to get this before Josh decides he wants it. Only reason I bought it.
All right. You just like, I'm going to get one over on Josh Byerly.
I did, and he's probably like, that wasn't even on my radar. I'm buying like Working Designs games. I have so far to go. You're a crazy person. Tyler, the world does not revolve around what I do. Which he would be right. I bought a Sega CD console, Johnny. I'm so happy.
Why?
I don't have a boxed Sega CD at all. And I love the Sega CD. I've said on the show, like, before that, like, I have my NES set and my
Which
Sega
one did
CD
you buy?
set. A Model 1.
Nice one?
A nice Model 1, complete in box.
I don't know if I have a Model 1 in box.
So the thing that led me, this was like a 2-year-long save search. I had this, and I never found one that was both like reasonable enough, like under $1,000. Like, people want like crazy money for like the really nice ones. Reasonable enough and cheap enough for me to buy.
Oh, I do have a Model 1 box. Sorry.
Of course you do, Johnny. You're the best. It was because I think it was on Video Game Sage looking at Sega variants or something, and I came across the strip that goes around the bundled games in a Model 1 Sega CD.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that strip before. I brought this up on the show, too. I was like, dude, do you guys know there's a strip for this? And like, everyone who knows anything about Sega is probably like, yeah, dude, those games came with a little shitty cardboard strip around them.
Yeah, it's a little black cardboard wrapper.
It says welcome to the next level on it, I think.
Yes, it does.
I didn't know that existed. Because, again, I know nothing about hardware. I collect software. I'm very much a software guy. And that made me want it so bad, but I didn't want to just buy the games. I wanted the whole Model 1 Sega CD. And it took me like 2 years, and I'm sure the price doubled in that time. But I finally got one. One of my favorite consoles. And
the Model 1, though, just so for people know, is trash. Don't buy a Model 1 Sega CD to try and use.
I mean, I've never even hooked a Model 1 Sega CD up. I think I have like 3 of them now.
The Model 1 is the one that the Genesis sits directly on top of. You can either use it with the Genesis, the TMS one, or the Gen 2 Genesis, but the tray that pops out always breaks to take the disc.
Yeah, so that has a thing is always broken. Tray as opposed to the Model 2 where it just pops up and you put a disc in.
Yeah, it's like, and the lasers go out on them. Still, the best thing to do is just go, buy an XI and, make sure that that's beautiful condition. If you're worried about it, get it recapped and everything, and then just use an XI. That's the best and easiest way to play both Genesis and Sega CD games.
I have only ever played Model 2 Genesis. Like, literally, I don't know if in my entire life I've hooked up and played a Model 1 Genesis. And there's people who'd be like, oh, the sound chip, you have ruined the whole experience. But that's the one...
You're using the TMSS one? You're not. Oh my God, you heathen.
That's the one I had as a kid, Johnny.
You see the welcome to the next level screen? Oh, you poor.
That's the one I had as a kid, so that's the one I'm going to use. And then you put that on a Model 1 Sega CD, and it looks like the dumbest thing ever. So I've always used a Model 2 Sega CD, too.
Yep.
Johnny, I got a box from Japan. I'll just pick one game for this episode. I got a complete in box game that I've already mentioned on the show before, Motoko-chan no Wonder Kitchen, which is a Japanese mayonnaise promo game. You mailed in 2 proof of purchases from a jar of mayonnaise, and you got entered into a contest, and there were 10,000 winners who won a copy of this game. And this is exactly the type of dumb bullshit that I am buying right now, is games with weird stories or just weirdly rare stuff in Japan.
That's weird.
I think it's like Cooking Mama, is what the actual gameplay is like. And like 10,000 is not like incredibly rare in the scale of Japanese games, because they've got so many like weird little contest things. But I did buy a cartridge of this maybe 2 years ago, and one came up complete that was pretty low priced. Happy to get that, Johnny.
Nice.
All right,
congrats, Tyler. I mean, mayo is so gross. I cannot, like, I'm one of those people who can't even think about it without gagging a little.
I don't like mayo either.
Severe aversion to it.
Meanwhile, like, I probably love a bunch of stuff that's mayonnaise based. Like, I have like a buffalo sauce in my fridge. I guarantee it's just spicy mayo, but I don't want to think about regular mayo in a jar on like a knife.
The consistency and everything is like something happened to me when I was like 13, and just I was in a home ec class, basically, or maybe it was gourmet foods, and we were talking about mayo and how people use it and like what it's for. And so we were talking about the science of mayo and like what it looked like and like what it compares to. And they just started comparing it to Vaseline, and then it stuck in my brain, and now I can't even look at it.
Yeah, it's like those health PSAs are like, this is what a pound of fat is versus a pound of muscle, and the pound of fat just looks disgusting. And then you look at a McDonald's quarter pounder and you're like, well, in that form it looks quite delicious.
So gross. Like now I'm stuck on mayo. Anyways, let's move us on. Update, guys. The car I was talking about, just so if anyone cares, is the Hot Wheels Flame Runner Gold from 1983. That's the car that I lost my mind about and had a meltdown at my birthday with all these other kids at, and was a shitty little child about.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like this amazing car, because like Hot Wheels now, like they have all these amazing weird cars, and I feel like, I don't know. When I was buying Hot Wheels, I would like have to dig a little to find something like a little weird, a little off the wall in like just this cool shiny color. And if I go to Walmart these days, I just look at Hot Wheels and like every other car is just like this crazy amazing car. And your car looks, I don't know, not the most exciting car in the world. I guess it's kind of cool, Johnny.
It was the 80s, dude. What do you want from me?
It wasn't the 80s because it was the 1993 Flame Runner Gold, wasn't it?
No, 1983. I'm old, Tyler. It was 1983.
How old were you in 1993? Damn.
1993, I was 15.
Still playing with Hot Wheels. You know, Reserved Investment says Hot Wheels is a dying collectible, Johnny. It might be prime time to get in as a collector because the investors are leaving Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels takes me back to when I was buying Star Wars figures, not as a collectible, but because I like to own them. I was collecting them, but not like collector, I'm going to make money off these. And being at like Targets when they opened, trying to get the new figures, and Hot Wheels guys fighting each other. Like I had some people fight me on Star Wars stuff a few times, but just like the Hot Wheels guys, there was always like these old fat dudes, which is fine. I'm an old fat dude now with like bad mustaches and like members only jackets, like always huffing and puffing to try and get to the backside of Target to get them Hot Wheels first. It was a bad scene. It is forever tainted the way I look at Hot Wheels. I'm just like, I hate Hot Wheels. And my son now, he's got like cars and stuff. And my wife's like, let's go get him some Hot Wheels. And I still like look at them and kind of go, ugh, Hot Wheel collectors. But we were given a bucket of them, and I was like, okay, that's acceptable. But now I'm thinking about buying this Hot Wheel. It's like $20. So
it is truly amazing how many are for sale, sealed, of these 1984 Flame Runners. There's like, I don't know, 6 to 10? 83, whatever. Yeah. There's a bunch, like $20, $30 for any of them. So you have your pick.
I was thinking about buying 2 and then giving my son one for his 5th birthday.
Maniac. Come on. Oh, let him destroy that history. Never mind. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to crack that open.
You got to get the misprint with the car on its side, which probably means it was just stored in a weird way. And over the past 40 years, the car flipped on its side in the card.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, there's probably a special box you can keep this in. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting one of these and just throwing it on the little nostalgia shelf and be like, there it is. There's part of my childhood. This thing was an iconic moment in my childhood. It was like one of my like 3 worst meltdowns ever in my whole life, and it was over this fucking thing.
Do you see the auction that's up right now?
No, I don't. I'm not looking that hard.
Oh, there's an auction for 3 cars. It's currently at $12 and $5 shipping. So that's cheaper than just buying your Flame Runner. You should try to win that auction for like $25. And then you have 3 80s cars.
Yeah, and this was from the science fiction collection. In fact, all of these cars, now that I'm looking at it, were in the grab bags.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, those are probably all from the same run. So I'm going to watch this.
Johnny, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on this podcast and sometimes on Instagram and very occasionally Video Game Sage and the Patreon. You can find me. I have not spent enough time there. Also, thank you to all the people who support the show constantly. I love you guys. It means a lot to me that you guys hang out with us and come on the Discord and that you put your hard-earned dollars into us. That it means a lot. Aside from there, those are the places you can find me, and I'm Johnny_Iucci on Instagram, and just Johnny pretty much everywhere else.
I'm Default Gen, Default GEN. You can find me on the Video Game Sage and the Instagram. Just send me a message on Instagram. That will be the thing I respond to the most.
And then find our other host, Stefan, on the Art of NP on Twitter and art_of NP. It's the Art of NP, but with underscores on Instagram. Find him there. And on YouTube. All of his branding is consolidated now. So, hooray. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope it made you think about some ways that you might attack collecting differently. Thanks so much for your time, and bye!
That is our show. I've got some notes here from editing, but I edited it like 2 weeks ago, so let's see if I can remember what I was trying to bring up. I mentioned Hulk 182 in this show. I just want to clarify, I did intend that as like a bullshit quote-unquote key to bring up. I know 180 and 181 are the cool issues of Hulk, I think I said Antarctic Adventure was Hideo Kojima's first game. It's not, it's Penguin Adventure, the sequel to Antarctic Adventure. I'm just gonna guess I got some detail wrong about those 100 gold championship course Famicom golf discs. I've never even seen one for sale personally, so if you're trying to go find one, good luck. And finally, I think we did the made-up criteria section of this show wrong. I don't think you should look at a game and try to find a criteria that makes it worth it to collect. Although, I mean, certainly do that too. I think we should have come up with like a made-up category and then quickly tried to find what would be the earliest or best thing we could find that fits into that category. So the first game that had like a licensed athlete, I think that's Pele Soccer on Atari 2600, but I'm not sure, and that's something I could spend a while researching, going through a bunch of bullshit 1970s games on Moby Games. Or like the first game to sell over 1 million copies. Atari Pong, maybe? I don't know. Does someone know that off the top of their head? One of you probably does, but you could research that and then get the first mega hit video game. I think that's a more interesting way to look at made-up criteria. Thank you to 8-Bit for our intro music, APE-Bit, like the monkey, 8bit.bandcamp.com if you want to check out more chiptune music. And thank you to the patrons, Richard Patron number 1 Bowden, Canadian Variant Alert, Chris Glidden, Nintendo World Champion Daniel Jacksvik, High-End Collector Andrew Brim, 50 Hertz is good enough for me, Andre, Video Games Were Meant to Be Slabbed, Brandon Ackley, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky, Mint Condition, Brian J. Mora, the Strictly Limited Super Rare Bruno, Sophisticated Investor Cartmageddon, Fat Cat Collector Chris Jackson, Chris SNK Too Many NES Accessories Morozek, Johnny's GBA Hookup Coffee with Mr. Saturn, Playing with Power Connor Strange, The Last Game You Need for Your Set Corey O'Brien, Unpunched Hangtab Dustin Beagle, He Has Returned to Judge This City Eric Addison, Man of Nintendo in the World of Nintendo Funky Brewsta, The Actual Shinobi Jasonic the Kid, Jeff the Game Boy Farris, Lance Lord Hardstyle Z, The Degenerate Matt Ball, Funkoland Employee Platform Agnostic, Read the Game Shark, The Famicom Box Retro Game Enthusiast, Sean, The Gamer Collective, Previously Unknown Variant Tim Walker, From the Internet Todd Fisher, Can't Put Limits on Collecting VG Collectaholic, The Millennium Will Joe, Keeper of the Zelda Variant 0x Defcode, Getting the full PS2 set because Stefan won't, all caps, What a 9.8 A++ Benji, The Actually Rare Bird Dog Gaming, Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode, Still Finding Deals in 2021, Colton Murphy, David Green, he's got that on vinyl, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show 2 weeks ago, Don Libby, the hero of time, actually understands the Zelda timeline, Jeff Pierce, Jeremy Jarvis, here for the Pog Talk, Jim Jacobs, world record holder of Best Collection, Red Pyramid Thing, Jonathan Shados, video game art collector because video games are art, Justin Chichio, Lateral Movement, who's got a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up, Michael, posted in the Discord right now, Chiara Monti, Nick, the video game database Morgan, Homebrew Mastermind, Divertov, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, Dungeon Master, Reed Stubenik, The Promoter, Retro RPG Podcast, High Definition, 16-bit graphics, Stevie Lou, Tom, Obscure Variant Chaser Chase, Zaventorian, he knows all 97 Nintendo games, Andrew, actually collecting N-Gage O, B Nugs, Colby, he is Sinistar, Corhagen does what Nintendo don't, Daniel McArdle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon, the Xbox Authority, Danny Gomez, the Modern Database, I'm just gonna change you right now. Dan, you tell me if you want to stay this. Who even listens to this part of the show? I'm changing you right now to the Modern Database, Danny Gomez. The Philatelist, Dork Overlord, my childhood PlayStation idol, Game-Rave.com, Joe actually plays his games Champity, Joseph Rogers got 50,000 on Double Dragon, collector of everything, including Atari, Kalen McAteer, Sam, Sega Mark III Marks, and Sean the Video Game Illuminati LaCroix. Thank you guys so much.